and read, and it was about kind of what should I say? He called it the trap door season for Manny Machado. We're going to talk about that later on in the show. But let's talk about yesterday's game for the Padres. Now, a couple of things I want to take away from yesterday's game, or at least I want to mention. Okay. The trip to St. Louis was salvaged by winning on the final day, but they did not accomplish their goal of taking 2 out of 3. They lose the season series to St. Louis. That could be a factor later in the season, especially since right now the Padres have the last wild card spot and the Phillies are in front of them, who swept the Padres in the season, and the Cardinals are in front of them, who now have a tiebreaker over the Padres if they both happen to be tied. So that's not great. Okay? That's not great. This Padres team is kind of just staying flat right now. And they need to be better. And the frustrating thing is about this team, and there's a lot of things that are frustrating about this team, but I think the most frustrating thing about watching this Padres team this year is the fact that you get a game like yesterday and you think it's going to turn things around, and then you get those clunkers that you saw on Monday and Tuesday. The inconsistencies of this team have made it the most frustrating to watch. Like yesterday was great because if they played like yesterday this season, they'd probably be in first place in the division. They played great yesterday. Now, not all assets of the game were great. I mean, they were 4 for 14 with runners in scoring position. You know what's great? They got 14 opportunities with runners in scoring position. That's like hitting 280. They kept adding on. They used the little things, small ball early in the game. Baseball, I should say. It was baseball. It was sack fly, driving in a run, getting a guy on, getting him over, getting him in. That's what you need to see on a daily basis with this team. So it's great that they won the final game of the series, but at the same time, you need more of this. This is what they need to be showing all the time. And until they get more consistent offensively, they're just going to continue to be at this mediocre spot. Again, I'll say it. They looked a lot better yesterday than they looked. I mean, it's really difficult to look worse than they did the first 2 games of the series in St. Louis. But I'm glad they're able to bounce back, score 6 runs on 14 hits. I'm glad you got to see, Fernando hit the living you-know-what out of the ball. We've seen that now for a significant amount of time. He's at 284 now. He's finally got his OPS over 700. Samad Taylor continues to swing a good stick. 1 for 4, 2 runs scored. He worked a walk. Jackson Merrill, thank whatever you believe in for Jackson Merrill's week this week, adding 3 more hits and going 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs yesterday. Got the home run. Manny Machado got another knock, drove in a run. That's good. Be nice to see him hitting over 200. Xander Bogaerts, 2 hits yesterday. He drove in a run. That's good. Nice to see him hit above 250. I mean, he's hitting 226 right now. Ty France has come back down to earth. He was the only player in the lineup to go 0 for yesterday, 0 for 5 with 2 strikeouts. It's a tough day for Ty France. Will Wagner continuing to contribute. Duran doing the best he can back there, starting every single day due to Freddie Fermin being hurt and Luis Camposano being hurt. I mean, yesterday's game, it was nice to see some bright spots with the offense. From a pitching perspective, good on Griffin Canning on getting his first victory yesterday. It's still a frustrating watching him get down in counts, but I thought on the round table we brought up an interesting conversation about this Padres team, about the starting staff, and to be honest with you, everything about this team revolves around one thing being incredibly bad, and that is the offense. You could say what you want about when it's hard to hit when you're down so many runs early in a game because the starting pitching doesn't have it. Obviously, starting pitching has been an issue because they used 2 openers this week. As Dylan from Letters to AJ mentioned on the roundtable, There is a reason why they're using an opener. The reason is they don't think they can get it strictly from the starters. They're trying to, at least they've acknowledged the fact that the starting pitching has not been very good. And I agree with Chris Ello. It's hard to go out there and do a great job as a pitcher, as a starting pitcher. And this is what Tony Gwynn Jr. said that Ello agreed with, that then he reiterated on the roundtable. It is hard to be a starting pitcher and attack hitters when you know in the back of your mind, and whether or not they admit that or not, subconsciously they're thinking, if I give up a run, or as Frank Marchese says, and run, this game looks like it's over. I don't know how you pitch like that. So I don't want to make excuses for the starting staff, who is now, in my opinion, have been kind of flatlined, maybe treading in the wrong direction. But I understand why they pitch the way they pitch right now. I mean, they are just nibbling all over the place. And Griffin Canning did exactly what Michael King was doing, just getting down in counts early and having to grind his way back. I mean, 3 walks for the pitching staff yesterday, all on Canning. I mean, this starting staff is walking guys all the time. You know what that tells me? That tells me they're nibbling on the corners. That tells me they're not attacking hitters, because why would you? I mean, at this point, as a pitcher, you know, shoot, I give up 2 runs here in the first or second inning. This one's over. Everything is reverting back to this offense, and this offense needs to perform better. And the frustrating thing is, we have seen it 3 times this road trip already look like what it could potentially look like. But they got to be able to do it more consistently. And it really starts with Manny Machado. Now, I thought the piece by Letters to AJ, by Dylan from Letters to AJ on Manny Machado, was fascinating. If you haven't read it, go check it out. Letters to AJ Substack, about the trapdoor year that he is having. And he mentions that they're not excuses for Manny, because Manny is not looking for a reason to not take responsibility. He has flat out said, if you want to say I suck, I suck. These are just explanations for why he is not doing well. And it makes a lot of sense. And I honestly think, and I said this at the end of the roundtable, I honestly think this Padres team has gone through what is the perfect storm to be in the position that they're in right now. Oh, and by the way, they're still in a playoff spot, despite how poorly that they have played in the last 2 months now. So, to recap yesterday's game, there was a lot of good in there. There was some little bit of question marks, obviously, but the reality of the situation is this team isn't going anywhere unless their offense can turn things around and get out of the historically bad numbers that they have put up for the first 3 months now of this season. And here's the other thing too. It just looks like they're starting to play better, but reality is, when you look at the overall numbers of this team, this offense is hitting 218 on the season. They're hitting 218 in this month. That seems pretty consistent. So I don't know if they're going to be able to ever really start humming as an offense. I think at this point, you can lean on the fact that some things will start to normalize for this team, like the pitchers they face, like the schedule they're about to be partaking in after the All-Star break, like guys regressing back to the mean. I think a lot of those things are going to happen. You already started to see it with Fernando. Fernando's playing a lot better baseball than he was at the beginning of the year. Is he fully back yet? No, probably not, because he only has 2 home runs. But this team will only go as far as its offense will take them right now. And that's what I think about this team. I agree with Ben Higgins in the sense that they really need an ace. But I honestly think if the offense can ever get around to what they have been, and the metrics say that they can, this is a way different team. but there's only so much hope that you can sell. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We have a jam-packed show today. Coming up at 10:35, we will have Bob Scanlon on with us. At 11 o'clock, Daniel Suarez will join the show. He caught up with Frank Marchese earlier this week. We'll have that interview for you at 11 o'clock. Later on, Chris Tremi, who is the manager of the San Antonio Missions, will join us at noon, and then we'll have Drake Hills back. It's good to have Drake back. He'll be back at 1:35 to give us his takes on the first round through group stage of the World Cup. We got a lot to get to on the show today. We're just getting started on a Thursday. NASCAR's in town this weekend. Padres are in Texas to take on the Rangers. We got a jam-packed show. We can't wait to begin, and we will get to it when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. Settings number Sports Station 97 through the Fan. The NHL season is officially over, which means this is our last NHL video for a decent amount of time. Stanley Cup has a new home, and now the league immediately transitions into one of the most interesting parts of the calendar, the chase for next year's championship. The big question coming out of the final: did the Carolina Hurricanes finally figure out the formula to win the Stanley Cup, or was this simply their window finally opening at a perfect time? Carolina Hurricanes spent years being the team everyone respected, but nobody feared in June. They were always close. 3 conference final appearances in 8 years, multiple regular season teams that looked built for playoff success, a defensive identity that gave opponents nightmares, but they always had the same problem. Could they score enough when the games got tight? And this year, Frank, they answered that question.
Yeah, they absolutely did. Carolina beat the Las Vegas Golden Knights in 6 games to win their first Stanley Cup since 2006, and what was interesting is that they didn't win it by changing who they were. They won because they doubled down on who they were. Carolina became a nightmare defensively, held Vegas to 5 goals in games 4 and 5 combined, and then shut them out in a 3-0 win in the deciding game 6 in Vegas, turned a high-scoring series early into a defensive grind late, and that is what championship teams do during the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, Vegas jumped out to a 4-0 lead and then looked like they were about to take control of the series. Instead, Carolina rallied, forced overtime, and even though they lost that game, they changed the entire feeling of the series.
It's game 3.
It was the moment Vegas realized this team is not going away, which led to the story of the culture of this team.
Yeah, the biggest reason this championship matters is the Hurricanes didn't just build a roster. They built a culture. Head coach Rod Brindamore finally gets his second Stanley Cup with Carolina, once as captain in 2006, and now as the coach. And that's a rarity in hockey. His message has always been work, compete, defend, and trust the system. And eventually the players bought in. The perfect example, 37-year-old veteran Jordan Stahl, who spent his entire career doing the dirty work, winning faceoffs, killing penalties, blocking shots, standing in front of the net. He wins the Conn Smythe Trophy because the playoffs are not always about the most talented player. Sometimes it's about the player that is willing to do the hardest things to get your team to win.
Now, as for the Vegas Golden Knights, a very amazing run, but a tough ending. You got to give credit to Vegas. I mean, this team had no
100%.
business making the final after the season that they had. They changed coaches late in the year. They went from chasing a playoff spot to winning the Western Conference. They swept the President's Trophy winning Colorado Avalanche, but the final exposed one thing. When the game slowed down, Vegas couldn't create enough offense. Game 6 was the perfect example. Vegas went almost 19 minutes without a shot on goal during the second and third periods. You could not win a championship when your offense disappears. Golden Knights proved they are still a powerhouse, but this was a missed opportunity, and one that really highlighted what was a great playoff run for a team that had a very mediocre regular season.
Yeah, you say that about a lot of the teams out of the Western Conference, especially in the Pacific Division, having mediocre seasons, but to have a Pacific Division represent the Western Conference in the finals, certainly not a bad thing. And looking ahead to next year is now the offseason starts immediately. early favorites, Carolina to repeat, Colorado, Vegas, Edmonton, Florida, Tampa Bay are all in the mix. But the bigger conversation right now is, are we entering a new NHL era where defense and depth beats superstar powerhouses? Because if you look at the last few champions, goaltending, all four lines contributing, defense and physicality have won the cup. And that's exactly what Carolina did this. And that's exactly what Carolina had this time around.
So now you start thinking about who's going to win the 2027 Stanley Cup and who is the favorite. I never like getting into those conversations because you got to go through the offseason. Who knows what kind of trades play out? Who knows who stays healthy? That's more for a national sports talk radio conversation. I mean, that was the same thing with the NBA when I was filling in for pre and post of the weekend. Sometimes the national radio is like, oh, let's pick the favorites for next year's NBA championship. Why?
Yeah,
They just
no
won.
point
Come
in it,
on,
man.
what's the point? But anyway, Carolina, great season, and they hoist the Stanley Cup trophy. (10:18) on a Thursday. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. The Braden Surprenant Show, sending us over at Sports Station 97.3, The Fan. Broadcasting live at the Bill House Studios. We know how. We're finish up the roundtable today. Coming up in the next segment, we will talk with Bob Scanlon. Talk about, recap what happened in St. Louis, what's been going on the road trip, the full update from his perspective of the last week of baseball for the San Diego Padres, getting into a series against the Texas Rangers. Be fun talking with Bob. Coming up in the next segment, we'll have Drake Hills on at 1:35. We got Daniel Suarez coming on at 11, which we're looking forward to. And then, of course, we have the manager of the AA affiliate for the San Diego Padres, the San Antonio Missions manager, Chris Tremi, joining us at noon. So, jam-packed show today with a lot of Padres talk in between. And we're going to talk about Manny Machado and what letters that AJ laid out in just a little bit. But first, I do want to get Frank's takeaway from yesterday's game. My overall synopsis, Frank, of course, was if they played like that offensively the rest of the year, they're going to be a playoff team. But it's the consistency that's been the most frustrating part.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what you saw again, as you said, in the first two games of the series, where you go out there, you get a total of 4 hits over the first two games, and you do what you need to do against St. Louis. Walk the dog on them, get 14 hits. You're adding runs late in the game, as you did with 3 runs in the 9th inning. You got 3 hits from Fernando Tatis Jr. and Jackson Merrill, which is good because Merrill's also been trending really far down, and he's been kind of hidden with how bad Fernando was and how bad Manny has been so far. Jackson's really been hidden in this. Also like seeing Samad Taylor batting second, got 2 runs in yesterday. He only went 1 for 4, but still, Bogart's 2 for 4, had his best day in a while. So you got the contributions from the big name players and the stars that you needed to get said contribution from. And sure, a lot of you would say it's about time.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing. We saw this Saturday in Baltimore. We saw it limited on Sunday in Baltimore. We have seen it probably a little bit more often now in the last couple of weeks than before, but we're not seeing it on a consistent basis. And I think that's where Padres fans are the most frustrated right now when it comes to this team is the offense shows the signs of life of what they can be. But unfortunately, that's very few and far between all of their other games.
Yeah, it is. And we saw it in Seattle, what they can be. We saw it last week, what they can be against Baltimore in the last series, I should say. It's definitely there. The ability is there. It's just getting it to come up when you need it to, and you need it most nights. Those clunkers that you have on Monday night and Tuesday night, those are going to happen. Those have been coming around a lot more than what we saw last night, though.
Let's talk about Manny Machado a little bit. I know we're kind of tired of that, but you know what? We don't have to talk about Fernando anymore, at least for the time being. We're gonna have a segment on him later on in the show today about where he fits for the most value you're going to get out of Fernando for this Padres team. But let's talk about Manny Machado a second. And I think, and we just had him on the roundtable. He was our guest, Dylan from Letters to AJ, who writes a lot of great things on his Substack. He wrote one a couple of days ago about Manny Machado. And the title of this one was Timing is Everything. So the overall synopsis of this article, before I give you some of the ins and outs of it, is it's almost like the perfect storm for why Manny is underperforming. Because when you look at his swing speed, it's great. When you look at his contact, his exit velocity, like all of the aging metrics, they might be down slightly, but they're still in the elite category, or at least at his age, where he's supposed to be above average in Major League Baseball. So as we've talked about on the show, this is like the big head scratcher of like, how is Manny not able to hit right now? He takes a deeper dive into what he is considering a trapdoor season, almost a perfect storm. This year, in 2026, up until yesterday, 2 days ago, 175 average for Manny, 255 on base percentage, 354 slug, which gives him a 609 OPS and a 72 weighted runs created plus, which again, that's if it's below 100, you're below average. It's a catastrophic drop. For career context of this, he had a weighted runs created plus last year of 123. And he has never had a 102, never been below a 102 WRC plus in a full season prior to his rookie year when it was 97. This is a trapdoor season, not gradual aging decline, which I think a lot of Padres fans are fearful of. And what Letters to AJ lists here, the offseason swing changes and the timing issues. And this is what Dylan mentioned on the roundtable today. He talked about the fact that, Manny said his timing was off. And he said that he had changed his swing and worked on some mechanics with, Teacher Man from social media, whose philosophy emphasizes staying on the back leg, coiling, and letting the ball travel deep, then exploding, which has severely disrupted his timing. On Baseball Savant now, did you know you could do this, Frank? You could they track now whether or not you are on time for your swing to the millisecond. And so they have what's called swing timing metrics, and they provide an unprecedented look at the degree to which hitters are, quote, on time with their swings, as well as several other measures describing the hitter's quality of contact. A quick look, this is from Letters to AJ and the Substack. A quick look at Machado's swing timing on fastballs in 2026 shows some interesting findings. Machado's flawed swing percentage on fastballs has been 9%, which is a significant increase from a season ago. A flawed swing is one which is neither on time, lined up, or centered. So there's three different types, right? Centered is like the center of the barrel. On time is like hitting it at the right time, obviously. And then lined up means you're not under the ball, you're not over the ball, if that makes sense. There's a little graphic that he posts on there. It's very interesting to look at. But he has seen a spike in flawed swings, which screams a mechanical issue. But interesting, the data also showed no change in overall on-time swing percentage with his stable 68% on-time swing rate year over year. This is where it's helpful to visualize the swing data because this metric can be a little misleading. On time is two different things. And again, what they considered on time by Baseball Savant is 16 millisecond window encapsulating the 8 milliseconds before and the 8 milliseconds after a perfectly timed swing. At Major League fastball velocity, that's not a very trivial span, and a swing near the early edge of that window and a swing near the late edge of that window both count as on time. But as you know, Frank, a guy playing, baseball in the past or whatever, even though you're within the 8 milliseconds before or after, which would be an on-time swing, you could be just missing it where you're not getting full contact on the ball. So his overall on time, like being on time, we've heard that a lot this year of he's not on time. He's late on the fastball. He's late on the fastball. He is actually, on all of his swings this year, 68% on time, just like he has been every single year of his career, around the 68%. So he's not even losing on his timing. He might be just slightly off on his on-time swing, which you throw in the fact that he developed a new swing during the offseason. It makes a lot of sense now why his timing issues might be a little bit of a problem.
But Braden, the bat speed, though.
The
bat speed's down.
It's slightly down.
But it's down though.
Remember
old.
We talked about
He's getting
that.
older, Braden.
Or the fact that your bat speed or his exit velo and his bat speed is going to be lower. Swing speed's always lower if you're making contact deeper into the swing.
No, it's because he's getting old.
No, stop it.
This is the same thing.
That's what haters want to say.
Exactly. This is the same thing we've been telling you guys. He's not getting old. He's older. He's like we said, he's not at his peak anymore. He's definitely on the backside of it, but he's still pretty high up the mountain. This is just more justification as to what we were saying. And again, as we said last week, him going to visit someone over the offseason and completely changing his swing, and him trying to make it work, trying to force it to work, and now realizing that it's not working and trying to revert back to what it was, that explains everything that he has had a problem with this year.
So he has seen an increase in flawed swings on fastballs, 9% up significantly from previous years. His overall on-time rate is stable, approximately 68%, but contact is skewed late within the 16 milliseconds of the on-time window. And at Major League Baseball velocities at around 95 miles an hour, and think about how many 98 plus he has seen, a few milliseconds is about 1.67 inches of ball travel, enough to wreck optimal contact geometry, launch angle, and pull side power. So that's number one of why Manny's a little bit off. Number two, obviously he he had an abbreviated spring training, so he didn't have time, because he missed half due to the WBC to really get locked in to this new swing that he had. And as he tries to adjust back to his original swing, and we're going to get to that in a second, he's had to deal with, and the Padres have faced the most 98 plus mile an hour pitches in Major League Baseball. The San Diego Padres have seen 709 pitches this season above 98 miles an hour. 709. The next highest on the list, the Houston Astros, who have seen 631, followed by the Pirates, who have seen 565, and the Chicago Cubs that have seen 562. It's a significant increase in the amount of pitches that they've seen over 98 miles an hour. And out of that group, they have seen the fastest out of that as well. They have seen, on average, fastballs at 99.2 miles an hour on the ones that are 98 plus. In comparison, the other teams below them are just not only two of them have seen on average pitches over 99 miles an hour, just off the pace of the Padres or the Astros and the Pirates. Everybody else has seen around 98 mile an hour fastballs. Machado leads Major League Baseball in such pitches seen. Average fastball velocity has jumped from 92.1 miles an hour in 2013, his rookie year, to 95.5 miles an hour. And then you add in the fact that Petco Park, again, marginal but still amplifying this. Extreme fly ball distance suppression, about negative 7.5 feet in 2026, which is the worst in recent years. The weighted on base average on contact park factor of 88 is historically suppressive, according to letters to AJ, which explains why hard contact doesn't turn into extra base hits or home runs as expected. Some additional context to this: retraining swing mechanics, and you heard him say it on the roundtable, is extremely difficult because swings, he mentioned today on the roundtable that it's not like decisions from your brain. It is muscle memory on what you have trained yourself to do on swings. And that's hard to just flip a switch and change. And I totally see that. And I totally understand that. Retraining swing mechanics mid-season is it's extremely difficult to do in general, but in layman's terms, swings are pre-programmed motor reflexes under time pressure, not conscious decisions. That makes it even harder to go back to what he was doing before. So you add in the fact that he went and got new help and it's messed up his timing. You add in the fact that the timing of just being off, plus the mechanical issues, mixed with the fact that you're seeing 99 miles an hour plus more than anybody else in Major League Baseball, on top of the fact that Petco Park has been, a place that just fly balls have gone to die, you're going to get a lot of the results that Manny Machado has gotten this year. And this is the reason why he's not producing at the plate as much as you would like to see. And again, this is not a reason to not blame Manny Machado because he takes full responsibility and blame, but these are explanations on why he is having the year that he is having, Frank. And it honestly, once it's put in this context, I think Letters to AJ does a really good job of laying out why these things are happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And we, again, it goes more to see that it's not his age. It's not him slowing down. It's not him not being able to catch up to the fastball anymore. It has everything, though, to do with just messing with his swing over the offseason to try to get better, but still messed with it, didn't work, and now he's trying to revert back to the way he was.
So we'll see if if he's able to come out of this. We'll see if his numbers are off. I mean, but it's not because he's just, and Letters to AJ lays it out. And you gotta, if you haven't checked it out yet, go to Letters to AJ. It's Google search Letters to AJ, or you can go to letterstoaj.substack.com and look at the Timing is Everything article. It's not an aging thing, and he definitely notes when you talk about age regression. When you're talking about age regression, Frank, that is a slow erosion of your talent. That's not he's 33, now he sucks. Just automatic drop off a cliff.
No, exactly. Yeah.
So hopefully Manny's able to overcome this. We will see. But in the meantime, we got to get to break because we got to get to Bob Scanlon on the other side. We'll talk about, from a team perspective, what the Padres look like on this road trip so far. Even split at 3-3. See if the Padres can have a winning road trip with a trip to Texas. Here coming up, we'll get a full preview with Bob Scanlon when we come back. The biggest story of the opening week of the World Cup might just be the US of A. Mauricio Pochettino's squad crushed Paraguay 4-1, delivered what many are calling the greatest performance in men's national team history. Christian Pulisic was sensational. Folarin Balogun scored twice, and the Americans played with an attacking style fans have rarely seen before. Australia also won its opener, setting up a massive showdown between the two unbeaten teams in Seattle with first place in Group D on the line. Meanwhile, Brazil escaped with a 1-1 draw against Morocco, and Qatar earned the first World Cup point in its history with a stunning late equalizer against Switzerland. After just one round of matches, the drama is already building, and the World Cup is delivering exactly what fans hoped for. The opening week of the 2026 FIFA World Cup delivered exactly what fans have hoped for: statement victories, surprise results, and plenty of drama. US of A kicked off its tournament in spectacular fashion. Australia announced itself as a contender in Group D and one of the more tournament favorites. Brazil was fortunate enough just to escape with a point. As we head in the second round of group stage matches, several teams have already put themselves in position to advance while others are suddenly facing pressure. That includes Monday, where you had Cape Verde be able to put together a scoreless draw against Spain. They punched Spain in the mouth a little bit by parking the bus. You saw some fun action throughout the day on Monday, and this is only going to get better as the tournament goes on.
No, it absolutely is. It's been an incredible tournament and fun tournament to watch here so far. And as we're recording this, Belgium and Egypt complete a 1-1 draw. So there's another result there with still 2 games to play here on this Monday. But the big one was obviously here, the United States. Could that have been the best performance in men's national team history? That's the question being debated after Mauricio Pochettino's squad dismantled Paraguay 4-1 in Los Angeles. The Americans dominated virtually every category. They controlled possession, completed nearly 600 passes, created chance after chance, and scored 4 goals, the most the United States has ever scored in a single World Cup match. Christian Pulisic was sensational. Fuller and Balogun delivered the kind of striker performance the U.S. fans have been dying for years to see. Malik Tillman emerged as a major weapon, while the high press and attacking style implemented by Pochettino overwhelmed one of South America's best defensive teams in Paraguay.
Yeah, Australia's a good team too, and so if USA can go out there and put up a couple of goals on Australia, then maybe this is the real deal. I mean, as for Team USA, is this the best USA men's national team that they have put together? I mean, early results say they trend in that direction, but you can't have a recency bias, Frank.
No, you absolutely cannot. And again, they looked very shaky. Again, it was not under Pochettino in the World Cup in 22. This is Pochettino's first World Cup with this team, less than a year, I believe, into his leadership with the U.S. team. But Group D, as you had mentioned with Australia, the U.S. are going to have a challenge. Australia opened up with impressive 2-0 over Turkey. 20-year-old Iran Kunda scoring the opening goal and became the youngest Australian player to ever score in the World Cup. Keeper Patrick Beach turned in one of the best performances of the opening weekend with 8 saves, frustrating Turkey's big strikers. Connor Metcalf later added an insurance goal to give the Socceroos 3 points and set up one of the biggest matches in the group stage. And again, Friday coming up, it'll be the U.S. versus Australia to see who takes over the number 1 spot in Group D.
We've seen a lot of the better teams in countries in this tournament escape disaster or end up not getting a point in the standing, or 3 points, right? So Brazil's one of them. They're one of the biggest surprises of opening weekend when they held a 1-1 draw by Morocco. I look at Brazil and I look at Spain the same way. Kind of some early scares for 2 of the more favorable teams in the World Cup.
Yeah, and Morocco's no slouch either. They were just in the semifinal for the World Cup in 2022. So, and they are ranked top 10 in the world. So Brazil, it's not like Brazil did this against Cape Verde. Granted, it's a team that they're supposed to beat, but Morocco has climbed up the world soccer ladder for sure. As manager Carlo Ancelotti admitted after the match that anxiety and pressure affected his squad, but it was the calm and composure of Vinicius Jr. that rescued the 5-time World Cup champions with a brilliant equalizer in the 32nd minute. And after that, play out the draw, escape with a point.
One of the biggest surprises opening weekend belonged to Qatar too. I mean, they after losing all 3 matches during its World Cup in 2022, earned the first World Cup point in its history, the dramatic 1-1 draw against Switzerland. Another big surpriser. We've had a lot of big surprises happen in the World Cup so far.
Yeah, for sure. And that was an own goal too. That they just another way, like you say in hockey, just get the puck to the net. Good things can happen. Get the ball out in front of the net. Good things can happen. A corner cross.
10:41 on a jam-packed Thursday here in the Bill House Studios. I'm Braden Surprenant. He's Frank Marchese. It's the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We have a jam-packed show with guests today. And no better leadoff man. You know what? I know he was a pitcher, but I think he can maybe get a bunt single out there. Maybe he could slap one to left center field, get us going. Then Bob Scanlon, our leadoff hitter for our jam-packed guest day. Bob, get yourself on base. Let's try to get a run in to start the day. How's your day going?
Braden, I'm doing great. Hey, truth be told, buddy, the only way I'm getting on base is if I get hit by a pitch. So I'm going to have to lean into one and take one for the team and get this rally started today.
That sounds good. Pulling a Roger Dorn there. I love it. Let's see if we can make it down to first base safely. Last time we talked, they're about to get underway on a road trip. The Padres have just taken 2 out of 3 from the Cincinnati Reds. They do that again in Baltimore, look pretty good, but again in St. Louis, we've seen a lot of this throughout the year. They show signs of being great on offense, and then they show signs of just, I don't even know how to describe it, but the inconsistencies have definitely hurt this Padres team, and you saw it again in St. Louis.
Yeah, no doubt about it, right? I mean, they ran into a buzzsaw with Dustin May. That guy had great stuff, no question about it. A much improved Dustin May that I remember pitching with the Dodgers. He's a pitcher now. Used to be more of just an east-west thrower, but now he's got the north-south element to go as well. He raises his arm slots. Now he can go up in the zone, down in the zone. He still goes east and west with his sinker and his sliders. And he was tough. So, that's one where you sort of tip your cap and say, hey, that guy had his best stuff going that day, and he won hits the Padres. The next day, you're facing Andre Palante, who, quite frankly, wasn't nearly as nasty as Dustin May, and they still couldn't get anything going for, almost 5 innings. So, yeah, you're right. It's sort of been fits and starts, and you have moments where you feel like, okay, they're figuring it out. They scored some runs against the Reds. Granted, they had a weak bullpen, but still you took advantage of it. Baltimore, we saw some of the power games show up, which was great. If you want to say, well, look at the stadium they were playing in, sure, but you still got to hit the ball hard, and they did. But then, as you mentioned, 2 games in St. Louis, and you're like, what happened here? I thought we were getting some momentum going. I thought this offense was going to start taking off. Fortunately, yesterday, it kicked back in yesterday, and they were able to score 6 and, 14 hits, and we saw some power out of Jackson Merrill. He had a couple of big hits. Manny coming up with some big hits. Fernando, 7 out of his last 8 plate appearances, he's hit the ball 100 miles an hour or harder. And not to be overshadowed, I thought maybe the most important plate appearance of that game was Samad Taylor, the second plate appearance of the game. He gets down 0-2. He's able to work a walk, puts himself in a position to be able to score after the Jackson Merrill single and scores on the Manny Machado sac fly. But I just thought it was a really gutsy little at-bat to get things going and sort of set the tone offensively for the Padres after those 2 rough offensive games that you noted to start that series. So, it was just hopefully, we keep saying it, right? Hopefully this is the spark. Samad Taylor was the spark yesterday to get things going. Hopefully the whole offense can now get things going and keep it going for an extended period of time.
We're talking with Bob Scanlon, Padres broadcaster on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking, it's better. Let's talk about the pitching staff. This week, a couple of openers for the Padres. I mean, obviously, most teams don't necessarily want to do that unless they have to. I thought both openers did a great job, Wandy Peralta and Bradley Rodriguez. Obviously, it's something to do with Lucas Giolito, Griffin Canning. We've seen them, kind of, I wouldn't really say trend in the wrong direction, but they seem like they're kind of flatlining right now. And a lot of it is with walks. What have you seen out of these two specifically and how they've pitched? Because, metric wise, it still says the stuff is there, but it's been a lot with command. Is that what you're seeing with your eyes?
Yes, I think in both cases, command and controlling the counts, more just flat out control for Lucas Giolito at times, right? With the 5 walks, the walks have been an issue. Fortunately, in his last outing, velocity was up a little bit. The command and control were better, so that was a good sign. Same thing for Griffin Canning. His ability to control counts, be ahead 0-1, be ahead 1-2, not be down 1-0, 2-1s, 3-1s. He did a much better job of that yesterday, and that was the difference in the ball game. When he gets ahead in the count, it gives him so many more options of pitches that he can go to. His challenge has been when he's fallen behind in the count, finding an off-speed pitch that he can go to on a consistent basis to get himself back into the count. Last year, it was the changeup. This year, it hasn't been the changeup very much. When he's tried to use his changeup when he's behind in the count, it hasn't worked out very well for him. Opponents were hitting 444 against that coming into yesterday's ball game. It's more of a pitch that he's able to use when he gets ahead in the count and able to put guys away with it. But yesterday, again, he generally stayed ahead in the count, which was good. He only had 18 pitches where he was behind. He had 28 where he was ahead and 31 where he was even. So that's a much better ratio of being in the driver's seat in those plate appearances. When he did fall behind a few times, he was able to go to his cutter, which was really effective for him to help him get back into the count and get even up again. So I thought it was a very positive, progressive game for Griffin Canning yesterday that hopefully he can carry forward. And to your point, the opener worked in both cases, right? Wandy Peralta did a nice job. It allowed Lucas Giolito to go a little bit deeper into that ball game. Granted, the Padres didn't score, but it didn't matter in the outcome. But Lucas threw strikes. The velocity was a little bit better, so maybe some progress in that direction. And the whole concept of using the opener worked, and it did again yesterday with having Brogley open it up and Griffin Canning following up. So, and as you initially said, it's usually more, I don't want to say, it's more desperation than inspiration. It's usually something's going on that's forcing you to use the opener situation. In this case, the Padres had reasons to use it. Those reasons worked out. Will we see it again moving forward? I don't know. I think a lot of it, in talking to Ruben Niebla, has to do with the lineup that they're facing, specifically with Giolito and Canning. It was a huge factor that there were multiple dangerous lefties at the top of this Cardinals lineup, that they didn't want those guys facing a third time when they're starting to fatigue. So I think the opener thing, yes, it worked. Will we see it again? I think it'll be lineup dependent. So something to keep an eye on.
I do want to mention this because it kind of like puts it all together in the two questions or topics that we have covered already. Tony Gwynn Jr. and Chris Ello mentioned this on their show yesterday about, the pressure for pitchers when the offense is not doing well. And he said that, they'll never admit this, right? And maybe they're not actively thinking about it, but subconsciously, I mean, when your offense is struggling, and they are, they're historically just across the board. We don't need to go into it. I mean, but the numbers are what the numbers are. It adds a little bit more pressure, I would imagine, as a starting pitcher, knowing like, hey, if I attack here and give up a 2-run homer, the game might be over at this point in time. I know the Padres pitchers will not admit to that probably, but is there something to that as a former starter and reliever of yourself when you got a offense that might not be doing things right? I mean, how much extra pressure do you put on yourself to make sure you're almost flawless? Because I could see why they might be nitpicking and kind of nibbling around the zone with that in the back of their mind.
It's a great question. And I was actually talking to Ruben about that yesterday, that exact question. Like, how do you approach that? Is it a thing? How do you talk to guys about it? And it can be a thing, right? And it's not as though as pitchers, we're not always going out there trying to pitch a shutout every time, right? It's not as though we go out there and say, oh, I can give up 4 today and I'll be fine. Right. Every time we go out there, we are trying to throw zeros, and that's why we train. That's why we study. That being said, there are certain decision-making moments in the course of a ball game where, because of what's going on, and because of the score, you have to make some decisions about how you want to approach the situation. Am I in a position where I have to go for the punch out right here? I have to strand that runner on third base. I have to make sure that this run doesn't score. Or am I in a situation where, okay, I'm willing to give up the 1, but I'm going to make sure that this doesn't snowball and turn into a 2 or 3 run inning? Those decisions are made at various times over the course of a ball game. And it can affect you, Braden, certainly if you feel like, you know what, I'm not going to get a whole lot of run support. This run might be the determining run in a game. And so I'm going to take some risks to try to make sure this 1 run doesn't score. And if these risks don't work out, it is possible that this inning can blow up on me and I'll end up giving up 2 or 3. But you know what? If I don't feel like I can afford to give up the 1, what does it matter if I give up 2 or 3? Because I feel like the game is on the line right here, right now, and I have to take that chance. And sometimes, to your point, when the offense isn't scoring a lot of runs around you, you can start making decisions based on what you think your offense is going to be able to do. And sometimes it can affect you and make poor decisions, right? Because all of a sudden you're pitching like, I can't give up one run right here. And the next thing you know, 2 or 3 end up crossing early in the ball game. And now you really are in a hole. And now the other team really is in the driver's seat. So yes, it can be a thing where it can cause guys to make poor decisions, especially early in the game, thinking that they have to be perfect when you really don't. And it can cause problems. I haven't seen a whole lot of that. I haven't seen guys where I feel like they're trying to make poor decisions and punch out guys in situations where they don't need to and exposing themselves to have big, huge innings that then put you in a hole that there's no way you can get out of. But to say that it doesn't exist, and sometimes it's subconscious, Braden, you don't even realize it. And to your point, you wouldn't acknowledge it, maybe not because you're trying to hide it, but you're not even really aware that you're doing it until afterwards. And you look back and you're reflecting like, oh man, yeah, you know what? I had a 1-1 pitch right there. I tried to do this, or I tried to go for the strikeout instead of just getting the ground ball. I tried to, lead that runner at third base instead of just staying out the big inning, and the thing blew up on me. And so sometimes you can look back on it retrospectively and say, yeah, that situation got the best of me because I was thinking about something that I have no control of, which is my offense. So can it be an issue? Yeah. Have I seen it being an issue? No. Have I asked Ruben about it? Is it something that they're aware can sneak in and you have to be sure to make sure that it doesn't creep in on guys? Absolutely. And hopefully it doesn't.
Yeah, as a coach, when I see players try to, and football's different, but when you try to make plays for other people, thinking about, other guys and trying to do multiple people's jobs, it usually doesn't work out very well.
Nope. Very rarely does, right?
So we appreciate the time, Bob. We got to get running here. Enjoy Texas. I mean, you got the World Cup just, down the street, right? Aren't they playing at what is it called? Like now Arlington Stadium or Dallas Stadium while you guys are right there next door. I mean, what's that been like? I know we got a little bit of time here, but have you noticed any of the World Cup action going on yet? Or are you going to wait till you guys get to the ballpark tomorrow?
No, I've seen it. As soon as we walked into the lobby, a lot of people wearing soccer jerseys. I'm hearing a lot of different accents going on. I know that some people I know in San Diego, their kids actually saved up some money just so they could come to watch Ronaldo in Portugal out here. So, there's definitely a vibe, no question about it. And it's been really fun. It's been great to see so many people getting on board, great to see all the different cultural influences, here so far in Dallas and in other places, and people gathering to watch the games. And of course, I'm rooting for USA, Colombia, and Brazil. My wife's Colombian and my son-in-law is Brazil. So I've got a lot of teams that I get to watch and enjoy. Boy, that Colombia game was super exciting last night, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was great. Team USA, of course, plays coming up later this week. But Bob, we appreciate the time. Enjoy the festivities of the World Cup around you guys. And hopefully when we're talking to you again, we're talking about some Padres victories.
Sounds great. Thanks, Braden. Have a good one.
Bob Scanlon joining us on the SDCCU Fan Hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking, it's better. When we come back, Daniel Suarez caught up with Frank Marchese. We will hear that. We got more guests to get to later on in the show. Lots of Padres talk as well. Hour number 2 on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan.
Welcome back here to the Braden Surprenant Show, here live on 97.3 The Fan. Getting closer and closer to NASCAR San Diego coming up this weekend. And we are joined here now by the driver of the number 7 Chevrolet for Spire Motorsports, Daniel Suarez. Daniel, how you doing today, bud?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
Good, good. So we've had a bunch of guests on the show here over the course of the week, and we've always started by asking. Now, you're from Monterrey, Mexico, so it's not necessarily a NASCAR hotbed. How did you get into racing, and what got you into NASCAR racing to start your career?
Yeah. I mean, it's quite a bit of a long journey for sure. You mentioned there is not a lot of Hispanics or a lot of Mexicans in the sport, and I feel very blessed to be the one that is driving and representing not just Mexico but Latin America in the sport, and and I'm trying very, very hard to open the doors for future generations as well, for drivers, engineers, mechanics, so we can continue to make the sport more and more diverse. But yeah, I was born and raised in Monterrey, Mexico, and I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina when I was 19 years old, without speaking English, without nothing. So it's been quite a bit of a journey, a long one for sure.
You became the youngest driver to win a race in NASCAR Mexico's mini stocks in 2008 and earned Rookie of the Year in the Mexico Series in 2010 with Telcel Racing. Walk us through those early days, any big breakthroughs or tough lessons that you may have learned in that time that has shaped your racing career moving forward.
Yeah, there has been a lot of them. Every step has its own lessons, its own things that we have to learn and get better at, and continue to move forward. In Mexico, I felt like it was a great phase of my life and my career. I enjoy racing there so much. One of the best time of my life, to be honest. Um, and then after racing in Mexico and making a lot of sacrifices along with my family, because my family doesn't come from money, so they had to sell their business and put a mortgage on the house to keep me in racing. And when finally I made it into a professional level in Mexico, we decided to start the journey to the United States. So I felt like I wasn't able to enjoy my time in Mexico for very long for very long time, because very quickly I moved to the United States to start the journey over here. So and every year I felt like there were new challenges, new things that I needed to learn, new things that I needed to improve. I mean, with the language, the language by itself, just learning to speak English. So there has been definitely a lot of barriers, and a lot of things to push through in different times in my career.
You moved into the K&N Pro East Series, now the ARCA Series, and joined NASCAR's Drive for Diversity program. How did that transition from Mexico to the U.S. racing scene feel, and what role did it play in getting you noticed by bigger teams such as Joe Gibbs Racing?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, just like every kid here in the United States that wants to come into NASCAR, they're trying to find the path to be able to make it into the National Series, and then into the Cup Series eventually, right? That's the biggest series, and for me it was no different. The only difference is that obviously I was from Mexico, and I had a I had a broken English, but just learning the ovals, learning the cars, the culture of the sport, trying to build relationships, because obviously, most kids, they grew up together, racing together, and they knew each other for many years. And for me, everything was new. I only moved to the United States when I was 19, so everything was new. And to be able to learn all the different things, and learn the culture, especially, that was one of the most important parts, to eventually go into a national series and eventually win races and have my shot into winning the championship in 2016 and eventually going into the Cup Series in 2017.
NASCAR Cup Series driver Daniel Suarez joining us here on the SDCCU Fan Hotline. Early in your career, you raced for Kyle Busch Motorsports in trucks and had a memorable first Xfinity Series win at Michigan in 2016, passing Kyle on the last lap. What was that moment like, and how did racing with and against Kyle influence your development?
Yeah, Kyle was many things for me. First, he was an idol, and then he became a mentor, and then he became a teammate, and then he became a competitor, and then he became my friend. And it meant a lot, to be blessed enough to have cross paths with a driver of this level that really taught me a lot and pushed me into being a better version of myself. So that's the part that I always love about him. The kind of driven person that he was.
What's one key lesson or piece of advice from him that has stuck with you, and how has that made you a better person or driver as the years have gone on?
Well, he wasn't like a father, right? Like
Yeah.
he was giving me more advice on the racetrack about the car, about the racetracks. But I'm the kind of person that you don't have to teach me things to learn things from you.
Mm.
And the fact that he was hanging out around me and I was seeing him, the way that he approached things, the way that he led the team, the way that he was being a driver and a leader of the team, I learned a bunch from him. And obviously in my early days, he was coaching me a lot in what to do, what not to do, and things like that when it comes to the car and the racetrack. But that competitive, mindset that he had, it was just something that I just learned from spending time next to him, and I feel very blessed for that.
Moving back home as we speak with Daniel Suarez, driver of the number 7 for Spire Motorsports here on the SDCCU fan hotline. San Diego getting a street race. How excited are you personally to race in a city with such strong motorsports and passion and sports passion? And does racing on a temporary street circuit bring any unique challenges compared to what you guys would face, obviously from an oval, but also from one of the more traditional purpose-built road courses?
Yeah, I mean, obviously racing in San Diego is very special for me, just because I know that there is a lot of Mexicans there and there's a lot of Latinos, and as the only Mexican driver in the Cup Series, for me is a huge responsibility to represent my people. So that means a lot to me. Also, racing on the streets is always tricky because the racetracks are perfect, right? Like they are, most of the time they're super smooth, they're super nice. The streets are not made with the same quality, so there is a lot of bumps, there is a lot of imperfections, and we just have to deal with that. So it's one more thing that we just have to be very, very aware and trying to adapt. And that's going to be the challenge, right? When you have an experience in a street course, you have some lessons, and then you try to adjust your car and do those kind of things. But when it's the very first time that you're going to race in a street course, that is brand new for us, it's just a completely different level of a challenge. So I'm super excited for that. I'm really looking forward to be there.
As a driver with deep ties to both Mexico and the U.S., what does it mean for you personally to have NASCAR coming to a place like San Diego? Now, obviously, you ran in Mexico City last year, so that had to have been very, very special for you. But here in San Diego, how do you think the local fans, including the Padre fans, will show out for this race this weekend?
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I was actually at Los Padres fans last week. I did the first pitch, and the energy and the excitement that those fans bring to those games is unbelievable. So hopefully we can have some of that in the race. I'm super excited for that, and I'm looking forward to have some fun in front of the San Diego fans.
Talking with Daniel Suarez here on the SDCCU fan hotline. Your first year with Spire Motorsports in the number 7, and already picked up the emotional win at the Coca-Cola 600. How would you assess this season has gone for you so far? Any highlights, areas of improvement, or momentum heading into that final stretch before the playoffs begin?
Yeah, I mean, there is always room for improvement. Unless you're winning every single race, that nobody's doing that. There is always room for improvement. So I think that overall, the team has been doing an amazing job. I'm super proud to be part of this team. We are competitive. We are moving in the right directions. We're consistent. Obviously, we're in a good position points-wise. So I'm happy where we're at, but never satisfied. Always want more. And And I believe that that there is room for improvement in a few different areas, and we're trying to focus on the things that we're doing right to continue to do them, and then in the things that we can do better to continue to improve our team. But overall, we are focusing one race at a time, one step at a time, and for now, all the energy and the focus is for San Diego.
One last question for you. We usually have a bit on this show where a lot of the guys who are local area, when we bring them on for an interview, we always ask, when they've been on the road for a long time, what is one food item that you are just dying for, that you have to have when you come back to San Diego or when you come back to the local area? What is that one thing that you're looking most forward to, food-wise, coming back here to San Diego?
Well, I'm kind of jealous that you guys have a Mexican food, amazing Mexican food, way better than the one from North Carolina. So I'm actually looking forward to have some good tacos and tamales over there.
Love it. All right. Thank you very much, Daniel. Really, really appreciate the time, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Daniel Suarez, driver of the number 7 for Spire Motorsports, joining us on the STCCU fan hotline. It's not big bang banking, it's better. Take a quick break and we'll be right back. You're listening to the Braden Surprenant Show right here on San Diego's number 1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Wow, what is all this?
The drought is over. For the first time since 1973, the New York Knicks are NBA champions. Knicks defeated Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs in 5 games and capped off one of the most dominant playoff runs in NBA history. Jalen Brunson delivered a masterpiece in the clinching game, scoring 45 points and earning Finals MVP honors. Mike Brown, hired after many questioned whether he has whether he was New York's first choice, guided the franchise to its first title in 53 years. The USD Torero, Mike Brown, Josh Hart, Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, and OG Anunoby all played huge roles during the postseason run that saw the Knicks win 15 of the final 16 playoff games. Meanwhile, Victor Wembanyama and the young Spurs fell just short, but after reaching the finals at just 22 years old, their future still looks incredibly bright. After decades of heartbreak, basketball is back on top in New York. The Knicks are champions, Frank.
Yeah. After 53 years of waiting, basketball glory has finally returned to New York. The Knicks completed one of the greatest postseason runs in league history on Saturday night, defeating the San Antonio Spurs 94-90 in Game 5 of the NBA Finals to capture the franchise's first NBA championship since 1973, led by Finals MVP Jalen Brunson. The Knicks closed out an incredible playoff journey that included a 15-1 record over the final 16 games. And remember, that was after they started 1-2 in the first round, and record-setting plus 283 point differential, the best playoff margin in NBA history. It was unbelievable, and as a fan, unforgettable.
Championship clinching Game 5 looked very bleak for New York entering the fourth quarter. San Antonio held an 83-73 lead with just over 8 minutes remaining and appeared poised to extend the series. But just like they had throughout the postseason, the Knicks never panicked. Brunson delivered another legendary performance, scoring 45 points and putting the finishing touches on a postseason that elevated him into franchise icon status. New York methodically wore down the young Spurs and closed the game with another comeback victory, finishing off the series in 5. Little gentleman's sweep for you. For a franchise that endured decades of heartbreak, near misses, and false starts, the championship represented the end of one of sports' longest droughts. Hopefully, that leads to some other long droughts in certain sports championships as well.
Winning the first game in San Antonio for the Knicks was massive. It felt as though you gave them a chance. You put the pressure back on the Spurs. Winning both games in San Antonio, you're like, okay, we really have a shot at this. We got 3 games in our place. We got 2 left here in San Antonio. We definitely have the upper hand here. Game 3 was what it was, but when you come back again from 29 points down in the NBA Finals, that game 4 will live forever as the game that New York clinched that championship. That's twice now that they've done that. Come back from 20 points or more in this run, and also they were down by double digits in every single one of these games against the Spurs, and were able to win the championship in 5.
Let's talk about the San Diego Torero, Mike Brown, the head coach of the New York Knicks. It was kind of his redemption story. I mean, one of the biggest stories behind the title belongs to head coach Mike Brown. Brown was hired after the Knicks explored several other coaching candidates following the dismissal of Tom Thibodeau, and many questioned the decision. Instead, Brown transformed New York into a balanced team built on defense, ball movement, and clutch execution. After the final buzzer, Brown admitted the moment felt surreal. He described himself as exhausted and emotional after finally reaching the mountaintop. Players repeatedly credited Brown for keeping them together and establishing the habits that ultimately led to a championship. So the one lone San Diego connection, USD Torero Mike Brown, able to be the coach of the championship winning team.
Yep. And there were plenty of unsung heroes as well in this series. While Jalen Brunson grabs the headlines and legend status in New York, the Knicks received contributions from everywhere. Josh Hart continued to embody New York's gritty personality. Hart scored 13 points in Game 5, hitting 3 3-pointers, dove for loose balls, and once again provided the kind of energy that has made him a fan favorite in New York. He also defended teammate Mikal Bridges, joking, "Forget them picks," referencing the massive package New York surrendered for Mikal Bridges. Meanwhile, Karl Anthony Towns, OG.
Yeah. I got 1, 2, 99 problems in a cig in my head. It ain't
Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Number One Sports Station 97.3. The Fan. Going to be talking with all of you. Great job by Frank. Daniel Suarez jumping on the airwaves with us a couple of days ago. Able to get a lot of great NASCAR drivers on the airwaves here. Frank did a great job with the interview. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. We have other ones posted on YouTube. Check it out at youtube.com/@B_SURP. I'm excited for the NASCAR weekend now, Frank. I mean, we're not going to be on air before the next NASCAR race or for the first one. Looking forward to heading out there this weekend and checking out NASCAR for the first time.
Yep, Disneyland coming this weekend. I got the tripod ready to go. We'll be set to go.
Frank's going to be interviewing anybody and everyone walking around NASCAR. Should be a fun time. I know Gwen and Chris had some representatives on about like getting there and dealing with everything that's going to go on this weekend. I would imagine it's going to be very busy in Coronado this weekend.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah, probably. I'm staying there this weekend just to make it easier on myself to like go over there and take a look. But what time are you getting there every day?
I think they said parking open. Well,
the gates
tomorrow,
open at 7, and then they like let people in at like 9.
Tomorrow, I'm going to have to go a little bit. Well, that's general public. I think that I don't know where, because it's not like baseball where you pick up your credential at the venue. You actually it's like in a conference center away from it, or at least that's how it was in Phoenix. So I'm expecting to have to do that tomorrow first. So I'm going to try to get there a little bit earlier. I don't know if I'm going to take the Strand or if I'm going to take the bridge yet. Because
you should probably take the Strand coming to the South Bay. It's probably going to be easier for you to take the Strand.
All 3 traffic days too are going to be a little bit odd and a little bit different, because tomorrow's only open to military personnel. Then Saturday is the O'Reilly Series race, which usually draws less of a crowd, but you don't know with how special this race is.
Right.
And then of course Sunday's the big show. So I don't. All 3 traffic days are going to be a little bit different, but I'm going to be getting up very early. I can tell you that.
Ferrying over is also a possibility for a lot of people, because I know a lot of people are going to try to do that as well. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see how early it is that people are going to have to get there. But the thing is, it's like it's never been here before.
So
and it's never been done. And I can't tell you in my lifetime any like major Coronado event that everybody was going to, let alone a sporting event, that you could really base anything off of getting over to the island tomorrow.
Yeah, no, it's going to be one of a kind for this year at least. If they do come back next year, NASCAR hasn't even hinted at putting out a preliminary schedule for next year yet. That usually happens around the fall. You might know a little bit better, but again, with all three different things going on, like all three cars are going to be on track tomorrow. Truck races later on tomorrow night, but again, that's all open for military personnel only. And then, the weekend. So, I mean, Jeff Gluck, who we've referenced a couple times, a NASCAR writer, a motorsports writer for The Athletic, overheard a conversation of Coronado locals earlier today that said, they're saying, do not leave the island over the weekend or you will be sorry. If you want to get food, get it now. So Coronado's bracing for this right now.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like you got to be on base in order to watch. It's not like people are going to be like active. I mean, maybe they will, but I would imagine like once you're on base, I don't think you would ever want to leave base and go back to like go get lunch or something like that. It's going to be, I don't know. I won't know anything until I get my bearings down there tomorrow when I go down there to pick up my credential as well. We have to print all this information. We have to have all this information ready to go. Special circumstances, obviously, because it's a military base as well. Mm-hmm. So, but I think the race itself is going to be fun. I'm excited to see this track. We have seen, Frank has played for us his test run of a lap. It's a very long track for the road race. A lot of interesting turns. Whether or not drivers are going to get air at a certain point is going to be interesting, but every single NASCAR driver, analyst, whoever we have had on has said, this is going to be it's going to be an interesting track, but it's also going to be a really fun track. And I think the guys are excited to go out there and test it out, and they'll be able to do that. Are they doing practicing today, or are they just going to all do that tomorrow?
No, it's all tomorrow. Some of the truck trailers are starting to arrive today. I know a lot of the teams will be getting here today, so expect a lot of videos of the Coronado Bridge coming out today. As far as like what to expect at the venue, there's going to be a lot of, at least, and I'm going off of Phoenix and Auto Club here, so it is going to be a little bit different. I'm seeing a lot of people asking about merch trailers. Usually the smaller teams do have like a team merch trailer. The bigger teams have like designated, like here's your Kyle Larson trailer, here's the William Byron trailer. So there are going to be separate trailers for separate drivers. You may, if you get lucky, may see some of the drivers in their trailers signing autographs. That is a thing that happens every now and again. So there will be merchandise trailers there. Food is going to be incredible, as it usually is for NASCAR events. Walking around, there's going to be plenty of exhibits. Again, this is going off of, I haven't seen anything that's down there yet. I'll be putting out videos and posts about all that stuff tomorrow when I get down there. But there are usually like display cars that are there. There's usually trailers that have, like, say, iRacing, to where you can actually drive the track yourself on the sim there. There's other like NASCAR, just other general NASCAR merchandise that's there, just NASCAR branded merchandise there with certain passes. Again, I don't know where the garages are. I don't know where any of that stuff is. You might be able to see the cars that are actually, for those of you who bought a pit pass, you'll definitely be able to see. For general admission, you might be able to see some of these cars up close and in person. That'll be racing on Saturday or Sunday. So it's really, really cool, really, really unique, interesting experience at a level of access that you get. Just imagine a pit pass being like a clubhouse pass, where you can walk through the Padre clubhouse while the guys are all getting ready to go, and you can walk on the field and do all that. Walk on a certain specific section of the field while the guys are getting ready. It's an unprecedented level of access that NASCAR gives you that you don't get with any other sport.
Yeah, there's gonna be some cool things too in terms of like some local businesses that are they're gonna be on base that are gonna be selling some food and drink and stuff like that. I know NASCAR announced that. A lot of the amenities. There's a lot of cool things to do around NASCAR. I like the thing like you can buy like you can rent the comms and so you can listen to what's going on.
You can get your own person. You can get your headset.
Yeah, the scanners or
Yep.
whatever they're called. Yeah. How much are those usually?
Oh, I don't know. I have it on my app, so I know it's $5. I think it's $5 a month on the NASCAR app. I'm not sure how much it is at the track because I know it's you get your own headset, you get the actual radio, and you can flip through. But I know on the NASCAR app, it's $5 a month to get all drivers and all teams from all three series.
It'd be pretty cool. You can that's always a fun thing to do over there. Get your headset and get your scanner and all that fun stuff.
I will say it is delayed though. It's delayed by like a lap and a half. At least at Phoenix, it was a lap and a half. It'll probably be like 3/4 of a lap here with how long the track is. But
worst comes to worst, you could just throw it on. You could get the NASCAR subscription for like a day.
Yeah, exactly.
Lock into that. So it's gonna be a fun time. We're looking forward to it. If you guys are out and about at NASCAR, if you're going to NASCAR this weekend, Frank and I will be out there a couple of times this weekend. Frank's going all 3 days. I will definitely be there Saturday and Sunday. Tomorrow I'll try to go down there and pick up my credential if possible. But we're gonna have a great time over there at NASCAR this weekend. A big event here in town. Padres are out of town. They're in Texas to take on the Rangers. We're going to talk about that later on the show, but an interesting question about Fernando. Where Fernando plays, how much value can you where's the most value you could get in the lineup with where Fernando plays? We're going to talk about that and how it impacts the trade deadline when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. Settings over at Sports Station 97 through the Fan. College football may have just crossed the line we've never seen before. Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby was ruled eligible to play after a court overturned an NCAA decision that would have permanently banned him from gambling violations. And we're not talking about a small mistake. Sorsby admitted to more than 9,000 bets and even placed wagers involving his own team while in Indiana. Traditionally, that's an automatic lifetime ban from college athletics, but a Texas judge ruled he could return after serving a 2-game suspension and continuing treatment for gambling addiction. Now, coaches across the country are sounding the alarm. Many believe gambling has always been the one rule you simply cannot break because it threatens the integrity of the game itself. If betting on your own team isn't enough for permanent NCAA punishment anymore, what rule actually is? One of the biggest stories in college sports this week involves Brendan Sorsby and as a court ruling that could have major implications for NCAA authority moving forward. Texas judge granted Sorsby a temporary injunction that allows him to play for Texas Tech in 2026, despite the NCAA previously ruling him permanently ineligible. Under the ruling, Sorsby will serve a 2-game suspension to become eligible beginning with Texas Tech's Big 12 opener against Houston. The NCAA has already indicated it plans to appeal. In fact, it did file for an appeal because with the injunction, they would not address this court case until after the conclusion of the football season. That was the latest that we had from last week. But then there was more information that came out on Monday today that the Big 12 has filed a legal complaint. Now, here's the statement from the Big 12 Board of Directors. Last night, the Big 12 filed a legal complaint asking a federal court to protect the constitutional and contractual rights of the conference and our member institutions to take actions expressly permitted under our bylaws. The Big 12 has long spoken out about dangers of sports wagering by student athletes and remains committed to protecting the competitive integrity of conference competition. Universities should not field players who have bet on their own teams in college athletics. This situation is evolving with pending legal matters and the upcoming start of the football season, and the conference hopes for a timely resolution of these issues. The board continues to keep all options on the table. Ross Dellinger reported that the Big 12's legal thread puts Brendan Sorsby in a dilemma. You either continue on this path, possibly subjecting Tech to a sanction, protected by federal injunction, or apply for the NFL supplemental draft, which the deadline is next Monday. However, the twist is Sorsby may not even have access to that draft because the draft only applies for players who are not eligible to play in college. For now, he is eligible to play per a Texas state court ruling. If he does apply, he may now need an exception from the NFL. An unprecedented situation grows more and more fascinating by the day. That's a lot of information to unpack, Frank, but this thing continues to go on a crazy tour. And my biggest takeaway from this is Texas Tech is willing to ruin the reputation, ruin their logo, ruin everything about their brand for a player that has not even taken a snap for Texas Tech and could potentially not take a snap for Texas Tech at all. And that to me is interesting that Texas Tech is willing to take sanctions for a guy that's not even that great of a quarterback.
Yeah, and again, just to go over 9,000 bets totaling at least $90,000, including bets on Indiana football while he was on the team, bets on Indiana basketball, and bets on Cincinnati athletics while he was at the University of Cincinnati. I don't understand how I do. They paid $5 million for him. But outside of that, I don't understand how a school they're going to forget about this kid unless he wins a national championship, which there's no signaling that he will or that Texas Tech will this year. They're going to forget about this kid in 2 or 3 years. So why are you willing to put it all on the line for this guy, get yourself potentially kicked out of the Big 12? You'd be an independent school for reasons not Notre Dame, and you're going to find it next to impossible if you play this kid. You're going to find it next to impossible to schedule opponents because no one's going to want to play you because of this. So it means all of that for $5 million. That seems like a very, very steep penalty to pay for a kid who's never played for you.
The other thing too, it's like now you have 3 state attorney generals, Utah, Kansas, Oklahoma, that have sent a letter to the Big 12 backing the league's potential sanctions of Texas Tech and criticizing Texas's attorney general legal threats to the conference. Quote, the harm from Texas Tech's proposed course of action is not merely legal, it is structural. You have multiple states now jumping in on this as well. And again, it's just like, why are you doing this? And to continue tarnish, I mean, the doubling down and tripling down and quadrupling down. I mean, if he even is allowed to play, which I don't think now with the because the NCAA has filed for an appeal to try to get this thing done in 14 days and be like, you need to make a decision for the season starts. 11:34 on a Thursday. I'm gonna be really honest with everybody right now. I'm at football practice this morning, so we have started summer camp. It's the first week of off-season workouts, okay, for high school football. All the high school football teams out there know what I'm talking about. We go at 6 a.m. every day. I now live closer to Cathedral, which is great because now I can go home in between practice and whatever. I don't have to have everything packed for the day. It's not as long of days. I go to practice today. I don't bring any of my stuff for work. Now, when I mean my stuff for work, I have my backpack with pens and stuff in there, a notepad. I got my laptop, and I do a lot of notes on my laptop and some other things. I'm at practice today. I'm in the weight room where it's we split it up skills and bigs, right? You follow me so far?
Yes.
So the bigs they go in the weight room first, and then the skill guys go in the weight room after. And when you're outside, you're doing some speed work. So I'm inside the weight room, and one of our newer coaches, we were talking, and he was asking what I do for a living and stuff like that. So I told him, I was like, yeah, and today we have the round table, which is kind of cool. It's all of the hosts, and then we have a guest. And as I'm telling him, Frank, that we have the round table, subconsciously I go, which now starts at 9 and not 10 o'clock. I go, oh, I got to leave pretty soon here. I got to get going. So I came straight from practice, straight to work. Didn't have time to go home, shower, get ready, do all that stuff. Didn't have time to have coffee. I got mine right here. I had the wings and things before coffee today, but the 9 o'clock thing threw me off this morning.
It's Epic Wings.
Epic Wings. You know why? Because I know the OG name. That's why. Epic Wings. My friends still call it wings and things. Anyway, so I had a little panic attack at like 8:10 this morning at practice, going like, oh, I don't start at 10 today. I start at 9 today. By that time, I had forgotten that Cathedral has started summer school, which means they lock up most of campus. So I struck out on 3 different exits, I thought, to get off of campus because they were all locked. Then there was construction. They're redoing this. I mean, they're just constantly making improvements over at that school. It probably took me an extra 20 minutes to get out of Cathedral and had to come straight here.
Jeez.
I get a phone call as I'm driving down, and it's a gentleman by the name of Braden, and he brought his son here. And he's like, hey, it's Braden. And I'm like, oh, hey. Thinking to myself, who is this guy? What do we do? And he goes like, we're outside the studio. And I'm like, oh my God.
Row.
I forgot I was showing him, and because his son really wants to be a sports. His son's like 12. Guy loves the station. You know, he wants to be a sports broadcaster. You know, we got put in contact, whatever. Like, he's like super into this. And I was going to show him. We've been trading emails for a month. And I was like, what? Oh my God. Oh, just tell him you're there to see. I'll be there like 10 minutes. Oh, I'm telling you, this happens to me a decent amount for the roundtable where I go, this starts at 9 now. It doesn't start at 10. It throws me off. I'm sure it throws off Chris too when he has to come in. So I kind of outed myself on that, but I had to be honest with you guys out there. That's why I'm wearing coaching attire right now. I literally went straight from practice. I'm like, well, I'm going to be there on time. If I decide to go home first, it's going to be too close to the call. I was like last week, too. I had the issue last week. I told you about that issue last week.
Yes.
That was kind of out of my control. I can't believe that happened still. Now, if I can comment on that, I will. Maybe in the future. We'll laugh about it one day.
And that incident is why...
is why
I had to do the Daniel Suarez interview.
Correct.
Even though I was so.
In my defense, he was supposed to call at a certain time, and then they didn't call for 25 minutes after the time.
Yeah.
And I had to get to an appointment.
He had to go, and I said, let me just stay back here a couple extra minutes because you saw me. I was pacing. I left burn marks and wear marks in the carpet there from pacing back and forth with him not calling. And then he called. I'm like, he called. That's why the first question sounded a little off, is because I knew from like doing the iRacing broadcasting that I used to do, I knew that interviewing and interview questions for me was a part of my game that I had to practice. It is amazing once you're put on the spot like that, how you forget everything you know about a person. Forgot everything.
That's why when we play our game, all the time, people just go, I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's truly incredible. Like my friend said, I texted him, I'm like, I just did this interview, my first ever interview my first aired interview in a baseball town in the heart of baseball season is of a NASCAR driver. How me-coded can you get, first of all? And then I told them that, and my friend sent back, was like, so, Daniel, Coca-Cola 600. That was cool, huh?
Did you call him the number 42 once?
Did I?
I don't know. Trav put it in the YouTube.
Oh, if I did, that was completely by accident.
All right, before we get to the sports thread, let's talk about something that was on the roundtable that I thought was interesting and an interesting topic. Let's talk about Fernando. Okay, obviously he is now played out of what, the disaster that was the beginning part of his season. Okay. He's gotten 2 home runs, not great, but also he's hitting the ball incredibly well. He's hitting over 280 now. He's finally got his OPS over 700. He looks like he's really turning the corner, and he's been doing it a lot at second base. Not in right field, but at second base. Moving forward, this is the question that Ben Higgins gave us, the panel. Moving forward, what position gives the Padres the best value of Fernando Tatis Jr. moving forward? Second base, right field, whatever. Where do we stand on this? To me, and I said on the roundtable, you can go back and listen. You can go watch it on YouTube. It's been posted, I think. To me, with Fernando, we laughed, right, Frank? We laughed and kind of made fun at the fact that he hits better in the infield than he does in the outfield in the first 2 or 3 games that he was playing second base this season. And it was, yes, we knew that career-wise he was like that, but I think you could factor in the years that you had a year that's in question due to a PED scandal, right? The infield outfield stat line was always funny, but I don't really know you could really weigh too much into it. Now with the amount of sample size we have this year, which might not be a lot, but it's starting to trend towards his career numbers, it's pretty close to say, it is safe to say that Fernando plays better when he plays in the infield than he does in the outfield. A lot of people in the organization believe that. And the way that we've watched him play the last couple of weeks, in fact, the last month, I believe that. He just looks way more engaged. The way he is hitting at the plate's way better. And what was the problem, Frank, with Fernando moving to second base? What was the problem that people had?
He hasn't played there in a while.
He hasn't played second base was one of them. The other one was, how do you take somebody out of right field who is a Platinum Glove winner and move him to a position that he's never played before and then replace him with a subpar fielder in right field? That doesn't make any sense. I always said, well, it's to try to get more offense into the lineup. At the time was Nick Castellanos. But now knowing that you have Samad Taylor and you have Jace Bowen, who it doesn't fall off a cliff when it comes to defense in the outfield, because you have athletic outfielders now out there, so you don't lose a step on defense. To me, the most value you get out of Fernando is playing him in the infield, and that position right now is second base, because I think that opens up a lot of options when it comes to the trade deadline, more so than we need a second baseman. It's a lot easier to find a corner outfielder that can hit than a second baseman that can hit. And there's not going to be a lot of second basemen out there that can hit like Fernando Tatis Jr.
No, and I think that's kind of how you have to look at this, is especially for this year. If you want to get if you're looking at getting a loaner, a loan for right field, I think would be a lot better and a lot easier to get than a loan for second base, because you always have Fernando as a fallback option. You can put him back out in right field next year. You don't have to go out and find one. But if you wanted to make this a long-term fit and a long-term change where you have him back in the middle infield, I think that's better, because just as you said, it's a lot easier to go out and find a corner outfielder than it is to find a second baseman that plays the way Fernando Tatis Jr. plays. So I would say, yeah, I would not have a single problem if second base became his home. I think the only problem that you have is now you're paying Jake Cronenworth $14 million to sit on the bench if you're not going to have him play first base.
Yeah, he's only getting 12, but yes, your 12, point still stands. I mean, it's still
a lot of money for a bench player.
And the Jake Cronenworth situation is interesting. I mean, I don't know. We don't know when he's going to come back. I mean, obviously his health is the most important right now. I mean, you don't mess around with concussions, but moving forward, I think you have Fernando start almost every day at second base. And then I think you have him spot start in right field if you want to have Song play second base a little bit. But Here's my thing too. Because for this season, definitely hit second base. But like for the next couple of seasons, eventually Xander's going to have to move off of shortstop. Is this the transition to get him back to the infield to then flip him with Xander? And like, I'm not talking this year. I'm not talking next year, but like eventually, like to me, you're not going to have Xander and Manny play the left side of the infield for like the entire careers. They might both move over to the right side of the infield. And at that point, do you put Fernando over to shortstop in like 2 to 3 years? Now, he would be around 30 years old, right? Because he's 27 right now. Would you move him back to shortstop eventually at age 29? I think a lot of people are worried about his throw, right? I mean, his throw's a little wild and him playing infield, but if he's playing at second until that point, it's probably a hell of a lot easier to just move him to shortstop than it is to go find somebody in the draft or like in the minor leagues or potentially make a trade for a shortstop. We know how expensive they get. Or I think the last thing Padres fans want to see right now is a signing of another gigantic contract, and that's what you would have to do to get a shortstop on this team. I'm not saying they will do it. I'm not necessarily thinking they should do it. But could they do it? That's the question. I feel like it's a little bit more down the road, but I find it to be interesting.
It is definitely an intriguing talking point, and I could see that happening where you just flip.
It's not crazy.
Two. Yeah, no,
it's not crazy.
No, you get those two used to playing next to each other, and then as the years go on, you just flip them. The only thing I will say to that is, and it has nothing to do with Fernando, is what you said about Manny potentially moving over to the right side. I don't see him being a first baseman. His glove and his reaction time in the field, even at his age, still looks the same way it did 10 years ago. His arm also. So I think Manny is one of those guys that even if he does start to decline, I think he'll still have plenty enough range to be able to play third base till the very end of his career.
I think he could too. I mean, he does a lot of impressive things. Is he going to have the range? Probably not. I mean, but he's going to be able to play probably a better third base at his older ages than a lot of people play normally. And I think, again, I don't want to keep making the Adrian Beltre comparisons, but like he was playing third base into his late 30s. I mean, it's not like he wasn't. You have to be somewhat mobile over there, but not a ton. And a lot of it's just like hard shots right at you.
It's your reaction time
that you got to be able to play for, and the arm. And you haven't seen any regression out of the arm. I mean, maybe it's not 100% accurate. Maybe it's like 94% accurate now. But he doesn't make a lot of errors. There might be a couple of balls he might not get to now that he used to. Maybe. I don't even want to say really that I've seen too many of those. But overall, yeah, maybe he does stay there. I think it'd be interesting to see if Fernando ends up moving back to shortstop in the next couple of years. Not this year.
No. I wouldn't think that was an option until at least 28, like a back end of 28, early 29 would be the first time I would start to genuinely think about that. And for those of you who want to use Miguel Cabrera moved over from third. So did Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He was the third baseman when he came up, moved over to first base. Those guys didn't have the range that Manny has to begin with, and they moved him over to first base so they could get in the lineup.
Yeah, I don't think anybody ever said like this might be the best defensive third baseman I've ever seen. Now, whether or not
came to Miguel Cabrera or Vladdy,
right? I mean, like if you watch when people watch Manny play third base, they go like, "What in the world was that crazy maneuver?" Like it's jaw dropping, and not all of those guys were like that. I mean, it's amazing to me he doesn't win a Gold Glove every year. It really is. I think he's. I mean, I think he's a better defensive third baseman than Arenado. I really do. I mean, he makes it look super easy too.
Yeah, and I catch myself thinking that all the time when we're sitting there watching him play. Is just, if Brett Beatty did that, oh my God, play of the year. it's Manny. He's done it for years, and it's really nothing special because he just makes it look so fluid and so easy.
It's pretty amazing. So now with Fernando potentially, and the other thing too, it's like you want to move him down. Like Ben asked if you want to move him down the order. What did we say on the show like 2 days ago? Don't move him. Don't move him anywhere. You have had no answer at first. You have had no answer with a leadoff guy all season long, except for Fernando. Just we're not moving him around anymore. He's stuck there. You finally got the offensive production you were looking for. I get the bottom of the order is not getting on for him. It's not like he's hitting a bunch of solo home runs. It's not like you're right. I mean, it's not like he's hitting a bunch of solo shots. You're like, man, I wish we had more guys on base.
To be fair, 100% of the home runs he's hit this year have been solo home runs.
Is that most of these Padres home runs anyway? I mean, one step at a time.
It's also only 2, but
one step at a time. At this point, with how important it is to score first, with how important it is for the Padres to, score in the early innings, and with the way that he's hitting in the leadoff spot, your best chance of scoring a run that early is by having a guy that can hit in that spot, and that player is Fernando.
Yeah, 100%.
You need him up as many. I mean, when now you look at the batting average of this team, now is the time to be like, all right, we should probably put our best hitter at the top of the order right now because they don't have anything else. I mean, look at the numbers right now for like the Padres. If you're looking at batting average right now that qualify, because Samad Taylor does not qualify, your best hitter is Fernando Tatis Jr. in 284. You should probably think about your on-base percentage. Out of the guys that qualify, it's Fernando Tatis Jr. I don't even want to get to OPS. Out of OPS, it's a little bit different. It's Gavin Sheets. He's got the highest OPS out amongst qualifying players. But Fernando is that guy that you need up as many times as possible. So I think we've come to the conclusion that he needs to play second base more times than not. And he needs to bat leadoff. And the Padres need to get a bat from a corner outfield spot, which I think is a lot more obtainable than trying to find a second baseman. Look, you could talk about Luis Arraez all you want, but if your counter to that is having Fernando play second and then getting a bat that's got any type of slug in the corner outfield positions, that's the way to go to help your offense out on top of the fact that you need some players to regress back to the mean. It was good to see Jackson Merrill get 3 hits yesterday.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And again, like I said, he's one of those guys that's kind of hid this year because of the struggles that Fernando and Manny have both had. It's kind of sheltered him away from some of that criticism a little bit, or at least from a deep dive, like main focus on him. But there was a point not that long ago where he was batting under 200, just barely clipped under 200, and now he's back up to almost 220.
When we come back, the one player that everybody in the roundtable told AJ Preller, you better not trade. Well, this guy manages that player. We're going to hear a little bit more about Ethan Salas with his manager, Chris Tremi of the San Antonio Missions, will join us next on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's Urban Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. facet of your game is not performing at a high level, you need the other portions of your game to step up and overcome those things.
The takes hit different here.
You know, everybody's all worried about the Padres not hitting home runs. The Padres don't need to hit home runs to win games. The home runs are going to come. It's finding different ways to win.
This is the Braden Surprenant Show.
New lunchtime hour on The Fan. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We have a jam-packed show today with guests all over the place. Bob Scanlon led things off, ripped a single to get things going. Daniel Suarez got him over. Now it's up to Chris Trimmey to come in and drive in that run, our third guest of the day. But a very good baseball man who has led the San Antonio Missions to where they're at right now. Obviously, being part of the organization's got a lot of great prospects down there in AA. He is the manager of the San Antonio Missions. He joins us now on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking, it's better. Manager Chris Trimmey joining us on the show. Chris, what's going on? Appreciate the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really looking forward to talking to you guys and appreciate it.
Yeah, obviously for us, I mean, we like to go down and talk with the minor leagues, see what's going on with some players and everything like that. And, you guys have a very important job for the Padres organization. It's developing a lot of the young players that are part of this organization that AJ Preller and company acquire. Right now, from your perspective, how do you see the ball club of where they're at in terms of like standings, how you guys are doing? What's the latest on the San Antonio Missions from their manager perspective?
Yeah, thank you for that. Currently we're coming down to the end of the first half. As a club, we kind of started slow in April, had a rough April from a record standpoint as a team. But since then have really played pretty well, even though our record overall is still under 500. We've been over 500 for the last 6 weeks and won a couple series, split a few series, and played much better in the last 6 weeks than the first 6 weeks.
We're talking with Chris Trimmey, who is the manager of the San Antonio Missions. And, like it is with a lot of the parts of this organization, a lot of the great talent is at the lower levels. You have had the opportunity to, have some really good players on your team this year. The most notable one that everybody knows in the organization is obviously Ethan Salas. He has gone through a lot, obviously. Very young kid, still has a bright future in front of him, but he's had a great year to start this season. What have you seen out of Ethan Salas, especially the fact that he's young and he's coming off of a very significant injury from a year ago?
Yeah, he, missing him pretty much the entire year last year, even though I wasn't part of the organization at the time. I know that unfortunately happened to him, and he was not able to participate in many games last year. Coming into spring training, I think, just getting back into the everyday baseball activity and then starting the season the same. I think he's done really well. He started out the year playing about 3 days a week with the DH. He's moved to 4 days a week. He's continuing to grow as a player, mature both as a player and a person. Although for his age, he's very mature already. And I think he's very open to learn and want to continue to learn. And I think those things are only going to benefit him in the future. And he's had a really good first half offensively and continues to improve defensively in every aspect.
You're a former catcher yourself. You did it at the big league level. You've done it, in the minor leagues, also a professional catcher, somebody that knows what it takes to be a catcher at a pro level. And you're dealing with he just turned 20 years old. I mean, he's, just out of his teenage years. And there's a lot that goes into being a major league catcher. I think a lot of fans always look like, oh, Ethan Salas is doing a great job. But what are some of the things that organizations are looking for to really say that a catcher is ready to go to the next level to AAA or then eventually make it to the big leagues?
Sure. And, as I mentioned before, for the age and experience level that he's had, he's very strong in that area and probably well above any other players his age. But he's going to continue to grow and do that. But, you look for consistency day in and day out throughout the game, pitch to pitch, throughout that game the next day. And he is doing much better in that area than early in the season, even though early wasn't bad. It's continued to incrementally improve as he went on. But, the catching, throwing, blocking, he's an elite receiver, all those things he does really well. He's growing as working with pitchers, understanding the game plan, being able to follow the game plan, being able to adjust off of the game plan, knowing the pitchers, what they can do. Sometimes that day they can do things, other days they might struggle with. And just being able to be adaptable and adjustable and follow a plan is what he has really been working with the pitchers and Abreu on, our pitching coach here. And he does a great job being prepared and continues to grow in that area.
We're talking with the manager of the San Antonio Missions, Chris Trimmy, who joins us on the SDCCU fan hotline. Obviously talking a lot about Ethan Salas. I mean, we have always been told of how mature above his years in terms of what he has been able to do defensively. And it's kind of been the offense a little bit. And this organization has tested him a lot. Obviously your first year part of this organization, but what have you seen from an offensive perspective of Ethan Salas? Because I know a lot goes into the receiving and working with pitchers and all of the mechanics defensively that are important for baseball, but it's great to have a catcher that can hit at the big league level. And I think a lot of people think that he could be a guy that can do that.
Yeah, I think what I've seen this year is, he's started off well out of spring training and been consistent in that throughout the year. No big, long slumps, pretty consistent day-to-day at-bats. But what I think really has been important for him is understanding like who he is, what he can do, and what best fits for his at-bats, having a plan, his strike zone recognition, being on the fastball, and being able to, hit the ball all over the field, not just looking to pull every pitch. And with that, stay aggressive on the inner half and away. And, he's shown he can do that this year. He's hit the ball the other way for doubles and home runs, singles with 2 strikes. He's pulled the ball when he got the opportunity to do that. He's taken his walks. He's been really good on the bases. And, it's been a very strong offensive year for him. And there's no reason, in my humble opinion, that can't continue throughout his career.
He's obviously not the only player you got down there. You got a lot of other players that are performing, but you also had, and it was for a brief time, but he's looked pretty good so far. Not only with you guys for 2 games, but also in AAA El Paso on a rehab assignment. That's Johnny Brito. I know you only had him for a couple of games, but what did you notice out of Johnny Brito that you were able to report on not only to the Chihuahuas at the next level, but also for the Padres organization when he was down there with you on a rehab assignment?
Well, first of all, it was a joy to have him here. I'm glad he's moving to the next place and then eventually hoping that he helps the Padres. But just the true pro while he was here was a good example for the other pitchers, went about his work, got prepared for games, mixed his pitches, able to throw 3 or 4 pitches for strikes consistently, locate the ball. And really, the best way I can put it, he's not a thrower, he's a pitcher. And he showed that here. Quick outings, efficient with his pitches, and kept them off balance.
From an offensive perspective, too, other players that are part of this organization, we've seen, Padres fans have seen some of these guys when it comes to spring training. Even though you're might be at minor league camp, you can still play in some of the big league games. Guys like Tirso Ornelas, who has been promoted to the big league level before. Romeo Sanabria is another guy that I think fans got to watch a little bit in spring training. What's been with those guys so far this season, and who are some of the other players that are really showing a great start to the season, if you will, for you guys from a position player perspective?
Yeah, starting off with Sanabria, really good spring training for him in big league camp, and kind of carried that into the season, and went through a little bit of some struggles in late April and early May, but since then has been a really big contributor offensively for us, with some big clutch hits late in games, some walk-offs, and just been a staple in the middle of our lineup this year. Also, I think other players feed off of him with his experience in this league and just the way he goes about his business. And kind of the same thing for Tirso. Huge part of the middle of our lineup this year. Came to us, started off a little slow, but has been very consistent since then and put up good numbers and very good at bats. And Both of those guys have hit pretty much in the middle of the lineup most of the year. And just to mention some other players without going into every single one of them, I think Acuna playing shortstop for us and second base in the middle of the field has been outstanding defensively all year, with some struggles offensively in the first month or so, but has really picked it up over the last couple of weeks and showing that, he can be a productive offensive player as well as an elite defensive player. Ryan Jackson's been just steady all season long for us, hitting anywhere from first or second in the lineup to seventh or eighth and getting on base and done a nice job both playing second, third, and shortstop. And then Brandon Carpathios has really been good after the first 3 weeks of the season where he kind of struggled coming out of spring training. But again, hitting fifth or sixth most of the time in the lineup and has really been productive for us. And those guys kind of carry our offense on a daily basis. And then we have obviously other contributors like Carson Tucker, who has had a really, really good first half and has been huge for us offensively and defensively as well, playing multiple positions, kind of your super utility type player. So all those guys have contributed, and again, the rest of them at times have done a good part of helping us offensively as well to get us where we are today.
That's a lot about the players. That's a lot about this, obviously organization that you're now a part of. I do want to ask you, Chris, what's it's a tough job being a minor league manager. Guys are constantly coming in and out. You get tasked with not only trying to win ball games, but trying to develop a lot of young players for a big league organization. What's your favorite part about managing this young group and young guys and helping mold ball players?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And, without going into my history, I've been doing this a long time. I really enjoy the minor leagues. I've done every level. I've done different jobs besides managing. And I enjoy all of it. But really, honestly, the AA level with the group that's not only here now, but the ones I've had in the past, like this level, I think is a really pivotal level for players, and anything I can help with to help them make themselves a little bit better and prepare themselves a little bit more to help in the major leagues is what I kind of enjoy. And my reward really is being able to watch hopefully each and every one of these guys, even though that's not realistic, but when they play in the big leagues, when I can watch them on TV and see what they're doing, like that's the reward for, in my opinion, of the work that I'm able to do. And I'm very grateful to be able to have that opportunity.
I know this might be a vague question, but there's not a lot of people that can feel that kind of joy and kind of sense of pride. I mean, what's that like when you get to see a guy that you managed at the minor league level be able to live his dream and be a big league player and get to see him play at such a high level?
Yeah, it's an awesome moment. I've had the opportunities in the past being a AAA manager for years, telling guys both that you're going up and down and the guy for the very first time. And, that very first time telling the player is just, it's very emotional and very fulfilling for me. I try to do my best to make it special for them. But then, watching them that first outing, if they're a pitcher, the first at bat, the first game they play in the big leagues, and then in some cases, 10 years later, I'm still watching some guys I had when they were 18 and 19 years old. And it just makes the game a lot more fun for me personally to watch.
It's got to be fun, too. You get to manage in your home state, being a part of the Texas League. I spent some time in Fort Worth just, for college. I knew about the Texas League when not too far away. Obviously, a lot of these different places like Round Rock, San Antonio. For a Texas guy, being part of this league, being part of the minor leagues, it's probably cool that you get to be in your home state. But that Texas League's a fun league. You got a lot of good teams in that league.
It is. It's a very competitive league. The travel is something else to talk about, but the competitiveness in the league is very good. A lot of good players. The weather I get used to. I'm from Texas, as you mentioned, so that doesn't really bother me. I enjoy being in the state, and I spent a lot of time as a player, both in the Texas League and in Texas. I didn't spend any up until this year as a instructor. And I'm enjoying, being back in this environment and seeing these ballparks again, 20, 25 years later. And just, again, grateful for the opportunity to do this and kind of just enjoy it every day and appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate the time, Chris. Thanks again for taking the time out of your busy day. I know you guys got long series all over the place. But thanks for taking the time to talk to us a little bit about some of your players, and good luck the rest of this first half, and hopefully you guys get off to a great start in the second half of the season. Love to see you guys make the make the playoffs out there.
Yeah, that would be great. And again, thanks for having me, and enjoy the conversation, and good luck.
Chris Trimmy, the manager of the San Antonio Missions, joining us on the SDCCU fan hotline. A lot of great stuff he mentioned about not only the Missions, but also Ethan Salas and what he has been able to accomplish out there in the Texas League. Good stuff.
Yeah, great conversation.
The speakerphone is a little rough, but you know what? It's okay.
It is what it is.
It's not, it's not the end of the world. But I think I knew that they talked about this a lot before the season started, but to have somebody, and obviously, this is why I was told this a while ago, and I firmly believe it. The minor leagues are designed for 2 players per level, basically, to make it. Like, they're putting all the resources into San Antonio for Ethan Salas. And that's basically it. And that might hurt some feelings, but that's the reality of baseball. It's the reality of the situation. And so they bring in Chris Trimmy, who is a former professional catcher. He had a cup of coffee in the big leagues, was able to make the big leagues with a couple of teams. But he'd been, longtime minor league catcher, but he is a guy that knows what it takes to be, he has experienced that before. And the fact that the manager of the team that Ethan Salas is on is a former catcher, I think goes a long way. And I think it makes it easier for him and that staff to be able to get Ethan ready to go for the big league level. And that's probably a big reason why the Padres brought him in. Yeah. So we'll see how the Missions do, but that was a fun conversation.
Yeah, anything you can do to give your star player down there a big advantage is what you're going to do. And to have a catcher as the manager is absolutely a massive advantage for Ethan Salas, for as young as he is, and for how everyone down in the minor leagues says, and Major League Camp during spring training, saying that the kid's a sponge. He soaks up information. You mentioned mature beyond his years. That is huge, a huge situation that Ethan Salas finds himself in, and he's excelling in it.
They got Corpus Christi tonight in Corpus. The Hooks at 6:35 p.m. Central Time, so it's a 4:35 start here in San Diego. If you want to watch them on MILB.TV, I'm pretty sure it comes if you pay for the Padres on Padres.tv and all that stuff. I'm pretty sure you get these games. So
I believe so too.
If you want to, go ahead.
Got nothing else going on tonight.
There you go. So Missions in action the rest of the weekend against Corpus. Then they'll go to Arkansas to take on the Naturals, and then they'll be hosting the Sod Poodles to end the month of June. When we come back, we didn't get to it, but we're going to get to it today. The sports thread, and then later on, Dennis Lynn got a mailbag with some interesting questions that we will answer ourselves to finish up the noon hour. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Denny Hamlin is on an absolute tear right now in NASCAR, and Pocono just proved it again. He just grabbed his record 8th win at the track, and more importantly, he's now won 3 straight Cup Series races for the first time in his 21-year career. At 45 years old, Hamlin is sitting at 64 career wins, moving into 9th all-time, and he's closing in fast on the championship lead, just 19 points back of Tyler Reddick. And here's the twist. He's not just chasing Reddick. He helps own the team Reddick, the team that Reddick drives for alongside Michael Jordan. So now you've got a teammate versus boss versus title rival all in one storyline. Next stop, NASCAR heads to a brand new military-based street circuit in Coronado, California, and nobody has any data on it. That could blow this playoff race wide open. Pocono Raceway once again delivered a familiar storyline at the front, but this time it came with history attached.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin put together one of the defining runs of his career, capturing his record 8th win at Pocono Raceway in the NASCAR Cup Series, driving the number 11 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota. Hamlin held off Tyler Reddick in a fuel mileage showdown. Actually had to catch Reddick from about 10 seconds back. Or was it Reddick? Oh, no, I'm sorry. He had to catch his teammate Christopher Bell from about 10 seconds back. Bell ended up running out of fuel. Reddick comes home in second in a fuel mileage showdown, winning by just over 1.6 seconds in a tense final run to the checkered flag. And maybe the most important part is this is not just a one-off. Hamlin has now done something he has never done in his 21-year full-time Cup career. 3 straight victories, Nashville, Michigan, and now Pocono. At 45 years old, he is not slowing down. He's arguably at the peak of one of the most consistent stretches of his career.
Yeah, he now sits at 64 career Cup wins, moving into 9th all time, and he's turned Joe Gibbs Racing into the hottest team in NASCAR right now. But Pocono wasn't just about victory; it was about pressure. Tyler Reddick leaves now, still leading the standings, but the gap is shrinking fast, and now just 19 points over Hamlin, who also happens to co-own Reddick's 2311 racing team alongside Michael Jordan. That adds unique tension. Teammate, boss, title rival, all wrapped in one storyline heading toward the playoff cutoff. Behind them, Christopher Bell's fuel gamble almost worked, but he ran dry late, finishing outside the top 25 after a strong strategy call fell apart in the final laps. Meanwhile, William Byron, Kyle Larson, Ross Chastain, and Ryan Blaney all stayed in the mix, but Pocono made one thing clear: execution is everything right now with the regular season winding down. The race wasn't clean in the midfield either. Multi-car crash in stage 2 collected several contenders, including Bubba Wallace and Brad Keselowski, reshaping strategy across the field and creating survival-style racing through the final stages. Todd Gilliland also grabbed his first career stage win, showing how unpredictable fuel and tire strategy has become at super speed and saver tracks like Pocono. And that unpredictability is exactly what is setting up a chaotic stretch into the playoffs. But what's next? San Diego, baby. Coronado takes center stage.
Yes, Naval Air Station Coronado, home of the Qualcomm circuit for the inaugural Anduril 250, one of the most unique race settings NASCAR has ever seen. Street course style racing on a military base, tight margins, a brand new layout means that they are walking in blind. No notebooks, no history, just pure adaptation. This could shape up the playoff picture in a big way, especially for drivers sitting right on the cut line like Brad Keselowski, like Joey Logano, like Austin Cindric. Those are big names that you're going to have to watch out for, none of which really have a strong repertoire as far as road course racing is concerned.
Now, while NASCAR dominates the headlines in the United States, overseas, motorsports delivered heavy storylines of their own. At the 24 Hours of Le Mans, Toyota executed a near-perfect strategy to take victory with the number 7 crew of Conway, Kobayashi, and De Vries. It marked Toyota's first win since 2022 and reinforced their dominance in the hypercar era with another legendary endurance performance.
And in Formula One, Lewis Hamilton reminded everyone why he is still Lewis Hamilton. Driving for Ferrari, he snapped Mercedes' winning streak with a strategic masterclass in Barcelona. I'm sorry, Ferrari, strategic masterclass. Those are two things you don't normally see in a sentence together. Taking his first win in nearly 2 years and delivering Ferrari a massive momentum boost in the championship fight. George Russell and Lando Norris completed an all-British podium while Kimi Antonelli retired late, adding another twist to this championship storyline. So right now it is Mercedes versus Ferrari. Antonelli at the top of the standings, Lewis Hamilton second, Russell third, and Charles Leclerc, the second driver for Ferrari, in fourth.
Yeah, but we're going to be our main focus on NASCAR here in San Diego. And what is your big? What are you excited for most in this street race?
I'm excited for everything. I cannot wait to be able to get out to the racetrack this weekend, be able to see all 3 series here participating at the same time. So it is going to be a very, very busy weekend, especially Friday, as you're trying to get Cup practice, you're trying to get O'Reilly practice, you're trying to get truck practice, qualifying, and the race all done in the same day. So it's
12:25, broadcasting live at the Bill House Studios. We know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's Urban Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan. All right, we're going to get to some questions that were asked in Dennis Lynn's mailbag later on in just a little bit. We are also going to give you an update on the World Cup. We'll get you a preview of Padres and Rangers, and Drake Hills will join us at the end of the 1 o'clock hour. Still got a lot to get to here on the show. Not a lot of time to do it, but we usually do this around 11:45. Today, pushed it back a little bit. It's time to get to today's sports thread.
You know that group chat, the one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
I agree with Trav in the YouTube chat, by the way. There's no way you're sleeping tonight.
probably not.
There's just no way.
No, probably not.
We have tomorrow off. There's no way.
I cannot.
He's going to be iRacing all night. He's going to iRace the track tomorrow all night long, and then be up at like 6 for no reason.
Well, no. If I'm getting up at 6, it's to get down to Coronado in time. So we've only got 3 stories today. We got 2 college, 1 baseball. Which one do you want to start with?
Let's do the college one first.
Okay.
Number 1.
Let's see. A sweeping federal bill to reshape collegiate sports is headed to the Senate floor, marking the first time during a year-long effort that the full U.S. Senate will have the opportunity to vote on a proposed solution to some sort of issues facing the college sports industry. The Protect College Sports Act, spearheaded by Ted Cruz and Maria Cantwell, one Republican from Texas, second Democrat from Washington, would provide the NCAA with an antitrust exemption so that it could enforce a cap on payments to athletes, as well as rules related to eligibility and transfers in college sports. It also creates opportunity for schools to sell their media rights as one large entity rather than on a conference-by-conference basis, which is intended to help fund less profitable sports and close the significant financial gap between most of the college sports and the 2 biggest conferences, the SEC and the Big Ten. Senate Commerce Committee voted 19-9 on this morning to move the bill forward.
So we go to the Senate floor now?
Yes, so I can imagine this is going to go through, right? Granted, this isn't the biggest thing the government has to worry about, but this is something that should be passed.
Well, it should be. That doesn't mean it will. I mean, there's a lot of bills that should be passed that are never passed, and I'm sure the Big Ten and SEC have their lobbyists working as much as possible to get this done. My thing is, I like a lot of the rules in here. I really do. And we have heard a lot of the proposals in this particular bill, and there wasn't a lot that we didn't like. We liked all of them. And again, it's like the counter is from like the Jay Billises of the world and Dennis Dodd, two people I've had on these shows before. And just like, oh, now we got to put in legislation because the athletes are probably getting paid. It's like, no, that's not the reason. It's about competition, okay? Like everything needs to be about the fairness of the game. And that's where you need to put the rules in place and not leave a bunch of schools behind that don't have the most money. And as we've said in baseball, I will say it again in college athletics, because right now they're going through the same type of labor disputes, if you will. Being the best team shouldn't be because you pay the most money. Mm-hmm. And just because you are the best and happen to have the most money, it shouldn't be just because you have the most money. It should be because you're doing things the right way and there's a plan, and it's not just like, oh, we'll just outspend everybody. This bill is eliminating that and making it more. I mean, because right now, yeah, like a lot of athletes in the top 1% of college athletics, which is college football, are getting paid. Good for them. But it's going to slowly get people to stop watching when you start eliminating teams off the top that will have no chance. So I like all these rules. Add in the transfer rules, add in the eligibility, everything to make it a fair playing field and not make it chaos. I'm all on board for. So hopefully it passes in the Senate, and hopefully they can make this bill a law. And I'm sure the SEC and the Big Ten will have qualms about it because they're the ones that lose the most money in this particular situation.
Aw, poor babies.
Number 2.
That's even coming from PR Big Ten Frank over there.
Major League Baseball has once again proposed an international draft as part of its negotiations over a new collective bargaining agreement, painting it as a push to provide structure for an increasingly unruly and corrupt system. MLB's international draft would be restricted to players who are at least 18 years old, as opposed to 16 under the current system. It would consist of 12 hard slot rounds with an initial signing bonus. Signing bonus pool totaling $200 million for 360 amateur players residing outside the United States, Canada, and Puerto Rico. The pitch was part of a wider MLB proposal pertaining to amateur players, one that is expected to include drastic cuts for those coming through traditional U.S.-based draft. It comes 3 weeks after owners formally proposed a salary cap, a major point of contention for MLB Players Association that is widely expected to trigger another prolonged lockout. It says that they did not engage in talks 4 years ago about the international draft, but I mean, things seem without digging too much into it, things seem kind of reasonable here.
Here's the problem, though. The international players will never go for it because they get to pick and choose where they sign right now, and it's a bidding process. They don't get drafted. Here's the deal. Major League Baseball is trying to find ways, or the owners are trying to find ways to save as much money as possible and to set what their expenses are going to be so they can understand the value of the organization. Correct? Is anybody disagreeing with that?
No.
That's their end goal. The players are trying to be able to get paid as much money as possible and get to pick where they want to play. That's what they want. Correct?
Yep.
I mean, that's essentially what both sides want. And what the fans want is they want a competitive product. Now, you can't get all three of those things to happen. Something's got to give. And right now, the side that gives fans the best opportunity to have the most competitive product is the proposal that the owners are giving, which saves them money. I mean, you're going to have to get one of the two evils here. Either the players get whatever they want, and they get to go wherever they want, and then you get, for a lot of people, this lackluster play for certain teams that spend a lot of money, maybe, or other teams that spend all this money and are never contested because they just buy their way out of problems and the product stinks, or the owners who make tons of money anyway save some more money, which they're good at doing, and you get a better competitive product on the field. I mean, that's kind of where you're at right now. And I don't think it's unfair to have an international draft. I really don't. I also don't think it's unfair that they have to be 18, because domestically, for players that are born in the United States, Canada, and Puerto Rico, they have to wait until they're 18. They can't sign with whoever they want at 16, 15, 16, 17 years old. They have to wait for the draft. They don't get to pick where they get to go like the international players do. Why don't you make it unison? You know what the best winner is for this? Because did you mention what the domestic draft's going to look like?
No.
The proposal made at the collective bargaining meeting with the Players Association on Thursday called for a domestic draft to be shortened from 20 to 12 rounds, and amateur signing bonuses nearly half the $200 million, but also limit to you have to go to college, and you're only draft eligible after your sophomore year of college. You know who's the real winner here? College baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly think it's a way to counter the fact that Major League Baseball can't draft all these guys out of high school anymore because they're getting paid more to go to college. And before people go oh, well, maybe they just increase their money, colleges can pay kids whatever they want because there's no rules. Major League Baseball's got draft allotments that they have to deal with. They're trying to just set the rules in place. People get upset about it because like the fact like it limits certain things, but there's reason why there's rules in life. Can't live in a society without rules.
I agree with that.
Number 3.
This one will be quick here. This was announced yesterday here on the Midway, actually. For those of you NASCAR fans,
here it is,
who can't get enough of stock car racing, it was announced yesterday by the Ford Motor Company. They are partnering with NASCAR on a new race that will be on Veterans Day. It'll be called the Veterans Day Classic, an exhibition that aims to honor all 6 branches of the military. The race will happen on Veterans Day, Wednesday, November 11th, and feature drivers racing in the Mustang Dark Horse RS, a car that was designed for the International Motorsports Competitions races. The race, along with the race, the Zach Brown Band will put on an exclusive concert. Ford racing drivers competing in NASCAR and other motorsports are expected to participate. Ford and NASCAR are still working out some of the details, such as where the race will be and how fans will be able to watch at home. But partners made the announcement yesterday aboard the Midway in San Diego alongside Blue Star Family. So another pretty cool event that the Ford Motor Company is going to be putting on.
Yeah, it sounds pretty cool. Looking forward to that. That's going to be a pretty cool deal. Especially when they involve the military. This weekend's going to be fun with NASCAR. Looking forward to it. When we come back, we do need a contestant for a Midday Sports Standoff. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. If you can take me down to some sports trivia, you could be qualified for a chance to win a prize. We'll talk about that when we come back and also look at what was answered in the mailbag for Dennis Lynn. More to continue on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego Sports Station 97 through the Fan.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to iRacing. We are sitting here on pit road in the NASCAR Next Gen Chevrolet Camaro here at Naval Air Station Coronado, or the official circuit name, Qualcomm Circuit. Now, I'm sure you guys have seen a bunch of people doing laps around Qualcomm Circuit ever since it came out, but I've never really seen anyone do like a deep dive corner by corner and kind of go through what to expect out of this racetrack. So let's get out of pit road here. This car already on. Let's get rolling. Here we are out, exiting pit road now. We're just passing through turn 1. Now this downhill section on Tollway here, this has been a very big focal point for some of these drivers. Bubba Wallace said on podcast Door Bumper Clear recently that they're getting air here. 4 tires off the ground coming through here during their workouts on the sim. So it is going to be very, very crucial for these guys to get their cars set up right here. Left-hand turn onto Rogers Road, and we get that beautiful view of the USS Theodore Roosevelt that will be, I believe, the home base for the broadcast booth for Amazon Video come Sunday's race, well, come the entire weekend. You just saw those 2 bumps there. Those are going to be very, very crucial right in the braking zone for these cars. Another left-handed turn onto 2nd Street. And again, more bumping. You see it, you'll feel it, you'll really see it during the hot lap here. This corner here, you see how it starts to go flat, and now it's starting to kind of dip in a little bit once we get to these tracks here. That's called camber. So you go from a flat surface to where the road is sort of leaning, kind of helping you. And if you get that transition wrong, back end could very easily step out and you could end up backwards. Currently on Murray Avenue, coming down, this is one of the higher speed portions of the racetrack. Heavy on the binders coming into Carrier Corner here on Murray Avenue. This corner is deceptively long. It feels so short. It feels like you want to get on the throttle early, but if you do, you're going to be in some serious trouble. And now this is one of the longer straightaways that you'll find, but you'll also see right there more bumps coming in. This car is going to be jumping and thrown around all over the place down here. Now we start to get up towards the northern end of the highest part of the circuit here. This, you can see the entry to this corner is kind of blind. That Red Bull banner there over on the right-hand side is going to be very, very crucial for these drivers to pick out the braking zones. You see over my head here, the 3, the 2, the 1, those are braking markers. Those are meter boards, so 300, 200, 100 meters before the corner. Can't see those on approach. Now, it's going to be different for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series cars and the trucks going through there. So those banners, those Red Bull banners on the right side are going to be very, very crucial. We're on one of the taxiways now, so we're officially off the street, and you can see how narrow it is. This is also the part of the racetrack where it is street, barrier, San Diego Bay. So there's really no room for error here. It's very, very tight, very, very narrow as we get into the runway section of the racetrack. Turning in very, very tight, tight left-hander here onto a deceptively open right-handed turn. Now, the reason why I say it's deceptively open, because look at how much runoff area is here. In road racing, it's not necessarily about maximizing your full corner speed the way it is on ovals. It's about maximizing a chain of corners. That blue line that we just crossed over is the track limits. So you'll start getting penalties if you come out this far. Now, part of the reason why you don't want to necessarily use this much road is because look at how tight it makes this next upcoming corner here to be able to make it where cars on the inside can more or less straight line this and be able to get a lot more speed on you as compared to someone who goes all the way out. Now, this part, this section of the racetrack here, this is going down into turn 12. This was supposed to be, when the track map was originally made, this was supposed to be just a straight line to turn 12. Drivers, when they got into the sim, made a suggestion that they come and make a chicane here, so that's exactly what they did. Where the hell is the chicane, you may be asking? Well, it's behind this wall here. You kind of have to just guess as to where the chicane is, and a lot of guys, especially in practice, are going to guess wrong, which is why you see that gap in the barrier, so these guys don't completely just lose their race car off of one mistake. Here is turn 12 in question. This is also very difficult because you can see it goes up and then it just flattens right out. So that's going to be very, very difficult for these cars and these drivers to be able to figure out over the course of the race. You want to try to mix as much power and as much precision as possible. And the guys who are going to be able to do that, the Shane Van Gisbergens, the Connor Ziliches, Chase Elliott's very, very good on road courses. Those guys are going to have
Test it for the Midday Sports Standoff. If you could take me down in some sports trivia or trivia itself, you'll be able to qualify for a chance at our grand prize, a 2-night stay at Town and Country Resort, a $250 food and beverage credit. Work on your resting vacation face this summer at Town and Country Resort. 3 pools and a 4-story water slide named Twister make Town and Country a family favorite. Rates start at $199 per night exclusively for fan listeners. Visit townandcountry.com/thefan to book now. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. I do want to get back to this conversation, though, about what baseball proposed today to overhaul the amateur entry system. I think it's pretty interesting. And to be honest with you, as somebody that loves college baseball, this is the best news for college baseball possible if this were ever to go through, because you're going to have a lot of talent going to college for a year or two, and it's going to make college baseball a fun product to watch, and it's going to be a highly competitive product that shows that Major League Baseball is not afraid to have other entities right now develop their players. I don't mind this, to be honest with you. I mean, yeah, sure. It's all about the owners saving money. I get that. But I've said this before. I will reiterate it. I am all in favor of whatever makes the game itself more fun to watch. I think this makes college baseball more fun to watch. And the thing with the minor leagues, I know there's a lot of importance in the minor leagues. I get that. But there's still a lot of teams in the minor leagues. And quite frankly, Major League Baseball doesn't want to pay for all these teams. I get that. And if they could save some money and have college do it, I think it's a win-win for both college and Major League Baseball. And there's a lot of kids, right? There's a lot of players that, you know, I understand that there are always like the Mike Piazzas of the world to make it through being a draft pick super late. But the reality is it's going to hurt maybe some I think it just hurts some players in this particular deal that we're probably never going to make the big leagues anyway if they cut down on the minor leagues. I know there's a lot of people that are against that, but if you're going to have them go to college instead, I think it's honestly better for baseball. And, you know, instead of waiting like 6 years for somebody to show up, Frank, you're probably going to get these guys a lot faster after the draft. I think that's a win for Major League Baseball fans.
Yes. And also, I mean, these guys are also most likely going to be coming up at around the same age that they would be now. So about the 24, 25, 26-year-old range, getting to free agency at least a year quicker if what the Players Association proposed, which is to cut back a year on control, goes through. So you're going to be finding a lot of these guys maybe not getting those big contracts anymore because you're not getting them for a lot of their prime years. The prime years are going to the team that drafts them. And when they get out of control, they're either right at their peak or on the downside of their prime. So that's another way of reining these contracts back in, is you don't want to spend $400 million on a player who's declining in free agency.
The other thing too, and I've talked about this a lot as somebody that covers college baseball. If you're a high level prospect, wouldn't it be better to go to college than it would be to go to the minor leagues as an 18, 19-year-old? You're going to stay in better hotels. You're going to stay in nicer facilities. You could be at, everything's taken care of for you at college. You're playing in massive stadiums. You got these great fan bases that follow you all over the place. And in the minor leagues, you're taking all these bus rides for like 5-6 hours. You're playing every single day. Granted, I guess you don't have to go to school, but you get taken care of in college. I don't know how much you get taken care of in the minor leagues. I think this is honestly better for a lot of these young players, and it probably benefits them to go to college instead of taking that risk of, oh, well, I'll sign for like $10,000 because I just hate school. I think this benefits kids in the long run. I think it benefits, a lot of these athletes. I really do. And the thing is, they win. Like college baseball is about wins and losses more than like the minor leagues are, because the minors are about development. But Major League Baseball obviously thinks that they could get developed players out of college. And I'm going to say this, as somebody that watches college baseball, it is more like Major League Baseball than it is like the old school Big West, small ball, dropping down bunts and all that stuff. This is very much this style of play, especially in the SEC and some of these big conferences. It's like watching the big leagues sometimes when it comes to their style of play.
Oh, it is. And it's been fun to watch. I mean, the College World Series, when we had it on here, that tournament was very fun to watch. And Oklahoma had a big win yesterday over Georgia, right? That's who Oklahoma played yesterday. So, I mean, you also get to play in high leverage situations that mean a lot. And you got the fans on you instead of SpongeBob night as a gimmick.
You're doing gimmick. That's the other thing too. I say this. It's like it for all of these minor league sports, right? These minor league. This is my argument against NIL too. Okay, you ready for this? There's a reason why people watch college sports instead of minor league sports, and it's not because their talent is better. The talent in the minor leagues is better than college. If you took even the low A team,
as it should be,
right? You take the low A team, they're beating up on all these teams in the College World Series, right?
Mm-hmm.
The G League, the worst G League team is probably beating the best team in the country in college. So it's not a talent thing, but These minor league teams never get anybody to show up. Why? Why?
It's not the big leagues.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares. I mean, I like minor league stuff. I like the minor league teams here in San Diego. It's cool. Represent the city and everything like that. But are people more passionate about the San Diego Clippers or San Diego State Aztec basketball?
San Diego who?
The San Diego Clippers. They're the G League team in Oceanside. Exactly. Answer. Could you even tell me what their record was last year? Could you even tell me who was on their team?
Brother, I don't even know how many games are in a G League
100%.
to know what their record is.
Their team's better than San Diego State, but people care about San Diego State a little bit more. Why? There's a connection there. You know, people always want to say, like, oh, these college athletes are not getting paid how they're supposed to be. They're the only reason why people show up, right? Excuse me? Do people show up in Stillwater, Oklahoma to watch Oklahoma State football because of the kids that play? They just want to see those kids, or do they have a connection to Oklahoma State? I mean, I'm just asking the question. How many of you out there that went to college watch your college because they have like the best athlete on the field? Probably none. Probably doesn't hurt. You are the same people, myself included, that would continue to watch if Frank Marchese showed up tomorrow to be the starting center at your university. You would still watch because you have a connection to the school. That's why college is so much like more fun to watch than it is like the minor leagues. You have this like investment into it. You have some type of connection to the school. So as much as, like the top 1% of college athletes probably bring some eyeballs from some people that are casual sports fans, the reality is I care about TCU football because I went there, not because they have better players than other people. There's a handful of people that probably like Ohio State and Alabama because they've always had the best players. We call that a bandwagoner, but, that's neither here nor there. But the reality is people are going to watch the uniforms and the brand more so than the actual players. And the best example of that is minor league sports, because the minor league teams are better than the college teams, talent-wise. They are, because all of the minor league players were still the best players at their colleges. Those are college all-star teams. So when I look at this new proposal from Major League Baseball about how they want to change the draft and make the eligibility for domestic players, you have to be at least age 20, and these guys are going to go to college for a little bit. I love this. I think it's great. I don't care who makes more money. Didn't I already say that a month ago? I do not care. I don't care how much money these people make.
We have a thing for this. Hold on.
Yeah. There it is. I don't care. I don't care how much the players make. I don't care how much the millionaires, trillion, billionaire. I don't care how much people make. I don't care. I am a consumer of a product. I want the product that I consume to be as best as possible. If they make the product better for me as the consumer, I am happy. Am I upset that the guys at Sony make more money and it's unfair they make more? No, they're giving me a product that I like. People get so hung up on how much money owners make and players. Who cares? I'm in favor of the rules that make the game the best it possibly can. I like this proposal. I don't care how much money the owners make or how much they save. I like the idea of a salary cap. I like the college sports law bill that they want to put through in Congress. Why? Because it's going to make the game more fun to watch. It's going to make teams more into it. It's going to make competitive balance as much as possible. Is it going to completely make everybody even? No, because then incompetence jumps in. But at least everybody's playing by the same rules. And you know what? If that saves some billionaires money, so be it. If that might hurt a couple of millionaires, so be it. If it was reversed and the players had a better option, I'd be like, yeah, sure, that sounds good. I don't care how much money people make. I don't care. It doesn't affect my life. What I do care, though, is about the product. And speaking of the product, the Padres will be taking on the Rangers this weekend. We'll get you a preview before we talk about the World Cup and finish up with Drake Hills at the end of the hour. Braden, Surprenant Show, Standing as on Sports Station 97 through the Fan. 1 o'clock on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego Summer Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. We are broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. I got a new lid. Take a look. Oh yeah. Look at that.
There you go.
We got the Western snapback hat presented by Petco. Monday, June 22nd, 6:40 start. First 40,000 fans in attendance will receive the stylish Western snapback hat presented by Petco. This hat is perfect for topping off your fit and showing your Padres pride. For more information, visit Padres.com/giveaways. Spend your summer with the Padres at Petco Park. Padres Braves, Padres Dodgers on the next homestand. And over next weekend, this is the final time the Padres will host the Dodgers in the regular season. Tickets are still available for this highly anticipated matchup. On Friday of next week, arrive early for Party in the Park with $5 drinks and live music. And on Sundays, be there for Kids Fest with family-friendly fun like inflatables, balloons, etc. Padres.com is your official source for Padres ticket. Visit Padres.com/tickets. There you go. Western snapback. It's not a bad looking lid. What do you think? I think it's fine.
Oh, it looks good for sure.
What are you doing? Are you analyzing that baseball
See, I saw a
that
video.
Woods uses to like free up his back?
So what happened is my ability to draw kicked in during the last break. So I just saw one of those like baseball is best accounts, those big accounts that retweet the same video 9,000 times over and over.
Sure.
And they just showed how like they sew a baseball together. And they just showed how like at the very end of it, when they're done sewing it, they wrap the seam under the one they started with, and they wrap it around. So I'm trying to see which one on this ball they wrapped around, which one they started with.
Your train is showing. That's going to be in full effect this weekend. That was the nicest way I could put that. Are you okay? Have you not heard that phrase before?
I'm clipping that.
Your train is showing.
I'm clipping that.
I thought you were doing something productive. No, you watched a YouTube video or watched something on social media, and I was curious why you asked for. I thought you were just going to play with the baseball, because during the break, Frank's like, "Hey, where's that baseball that's been laying around?" I'm like, "I don't know. It's over by Woods' area." He uses that in the lacrosse ball, and like he puts it against the wall to like free up his back a little bit, some muscle areas. And then Frank he was just studying. He put his glasses above his eyes and started studying the baseball.
Yeah, I wanted to see.
That's a
which one.
plastic one, though. It's not even a legit ball.
Oh, I understand that, but they're real seams, so they would stitch it the same way, you would think, no?
Okay, let's talk about Padres baseball and move on from this. Frank's going to be preoccupied for a little bit, I guess. I can't believe you didn't squirrel yourself on the...
Well, that would require me being able to see.
Can't see because the glasses are above your eyes.
There we go. Squirrel!
There it is. You know, this is technically a foul out Friday for us. You get a foul for that.
What do I get a foul? I get a foul for...
He draws the foul.
Derailing the show by looking at... You could have done this when you got home.
You also could have just ignored it.
I was wondering what you were doing. You were distracted because you were all the way back in the back of the room, in the chair, just studying the baseball. I thought you were gonna like show some like some pitch grips or something like that, like Mark Grant does. No, ladies and gentlemen, he's studying the seams of the baseball off of a video. Are you gonna go stand some brooms up? Remember that phase during COVID?
No, I do remember, though, as a kid, there was a certain day of the year where eggs would stand on end, and everyone tried to do it.
That was like the broom thing. Did it work?
I think one teacher was able to get it
Did
done.
you try it?
I think I found a double seam. I think I found it.
Breaking news. Are you kidding me right now?
I think I found it.
Congratulations. All right, let's
Thank you.
let's get to some Padres baseball over the weekend. They're going to take on the Texas Rangers for 3 games. Losing the series to St. Louis is not great for a couple of reasons. One, unless you win the series against Atlanta, you're going to have to sweep the Rangers this weekend to try to get back on track on our numbers of trying to go into July with the same record they did last year. So you get set back a little bit by losing 2 out of 3 to St. Louis. We'll see how the Padres do this weekend against Texas. Oh, and by the way, they get to face Jacob deGrom and Nathan Eovaldi. So the continuation of the season of facing the most elite pitching of the year and the most difficult competition pitching-wise that anybody in Major League Baseball has faced. But yesterday, they snapped a troubling skid with a 6-1 victory over the Cardinals, which is good news. The frustrating part, as we mentioned in our open today, it was like, this is the game that if they can continue, if they could do this more consistently, you wouldn't have to worry about sweating out series right now in the early months of the season. But yesterday's win featured a season high tying 14 hits, on base opportunities in 8 innings, and they scored in 4 innings. And while the offense remains mired in season-long struggles, lasting batting average, OPS, runs per game, the game offered signs of potential turnaround, especially after a middling 9-game stretch, 20th in batting average, 21st in OPS, despite the poor start to the series. You did get some key offensive positives from yesterday. Samad Taylor in his recent call-up continued his hot streak with hits in all 9 games as a Padre, which is the longest in the team this year. Batted second between Tatis and Merrill, drew a crucial 7-pitch walk leading to his first run, added a 9th-inning single and scored again, and stole his 4th base in 4 attempts. He has been a spark with speed on the base and on-base skills. Fernando Tatis Jr. dominating the elite exit velocities again. All 3 hits were over 100 miles an hour, including a 111.3 mile an hour double, 49 balls in play at 105 miles an hour, 6 in Major League Baseball. Strong recent form. Now with a 376 batting average, a 410 on base, and a 505 slug in 22 games since May 24th. 1 double should have been a triple due to base running. That was the ball that he sailed over the center fielder's head. A little slow out the box, but it's okay. Tatis, Machado, Merrill, and Bogarts combined for 9 for 16 with a home run, 2 doubles, and a sac fly. Great to see that. Haven't seen that all year. Their best collective day since early April. Jackson Merrill added a 2-run homer. He's 10 for 36 recently. His batting average is up to 213 on the year. Machado, 8 for 31 with 5 doubles, a home run. In his last 8 games, his batting average is up to 177, which is nothing to write home about, but at least it's trending in the right direction. And Xander Bogaerts ended his RBI drought. Padres are 24-8 now when scoring the first run. That's the 6th best in Major League Baseball. And they're 33-13 when scoring 3+ runs, which is the 10th best in Major League Baseball, highlighting the importance of early offense and really showing why you need to have Fernando in the leadoff spot. But yesterday, the thing that was frustrating about yesterday, Frank, we talked about this earlier on the show. Yesterday was frustrating because this team can do this more often. It's just unfortunately very few and far between when they look like they did yesterday. And yesterday it looked more like a complete team that found multiple ways to score runs.
Right. We saw them play this way against Seattle, and then it went away for like 2 weeks. We saw them play this way against Baltimore, and fortunately it went away for only 2 days. So they are getting a little bit closer to finding it, and I think it also has a lot to do with the fact that you're starting to see Fernando hit more. You're starting to see Manny somewhat come out of it. Same thing with Jackson Merrill. He's starting to come out of it as well. So you're starting to see the big names start to perform better than they had been, and now those offensive lulls are starting to come. They're still happening, and they're going to happen throughout the season. But those are starting to be a little bit less sustained than they had been in the earlier portions of the season.
Padres got to be able to continue the success against the Texas Rangers coming up this weekend. A quick look at the matchups for this weekend. You're going to see, I mean, have the Padres lined up perfectly to get like everybody's 1, 2, 3? I mean, all season long, they have gotten like everybody's 1, 2, 3, which, by the way, is not terrible in a sense that you're going to have to see these guys eventually in the postseason, or pitchers like this. So at least they're getting some experience doing it. But this weekend, the Padres are going to see Jacob deGrom, Nathan Eovaldi, and Mackenzie Gore. It'll be Randy Vasquez on Friday. It'll be Walker Buehler on Saturday. And it's still TBD for Sunday for the Padres as they play in Arlington, Texas. That is a place they've had a lot of success and a lot of key moments in their franchise. I mean, you look back to them in 2020 where they got to play there in the postseason. You think about, and that was after they played there with the whole swinging 3-0. It's where Slam Diego was born. They have really owned Texas in the last handful of years. And that is a place where Joe Musgrove threw his no-hitter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Padres have had a lot of success in Texas. They got to keep that up. And to make things easier, it would be better if they swept the Rangers this weekend. So you don't have to worry about taking 2 out of 3 from Atlanta. But you're at a point now, I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, they needed to go win 3 out of the next 4 series. They've currently split. So that means they got to win the next 2 series to kind of get back on track here in this month. Because if they do that and they enter July with the same record as last year, it might, get people to breathe a big sigh of relief. But I will say this, as poor as this team has played, with as bad as their offense has been, with how the rotation has shown signs of not always being, really good, not having that ace of the staff, with the bullpen being solid, but not, having their moments, I should say. I mean, with everything that's gone wrong for the Padres, they still have a winning record, and magically, they're in a wild card spot right now. I mean, they played poorly for the last 2 months. I think it's hard to disagree with that, right?
Yeah.
They've played poorly for the last 2 months. They have a run differential of -9. And if the season ended today, they'd be playing a playoff game.
-9 over the last 2 months, or -9 on the season?
On the season.
Okay.
Could be worse, probably. You look at Philly. I mean, Philly's got a -18 run differential. They're 6 games above 500. But it's the way that you look at this. I mean, you could say everything you want about, it's just false positivity, but that's the reality of the situation. The Padres are still in a playoff spot. Now they're tied with Washington and Chicago, 2 teams that have a tiebreaker over them now because of the fact that the season has gone off to a rough start for the Padres against National League teams. I can't believe how poorly the Padres have played against the National League. You look at their record against American League teams, I mean, they dominate the American League, but start looking at it. Dodgers, losing record against them. Milwaukee, losing record against them. Haven't played Atlanta yet. St. Louis, lost the season series. Philadelphia, lost the season series. Washington, I'm going down in order of standings, by the way. Washington, lost 2 out of 3. Chicago, losing the season series. Arizona, split because they only played them twice. You have to go all the way down to Pittsburgh to finally say the Padres have a winning record against the team in the National League. And that's only one. Haven't played Miami yet. Then you got Cincinnati, got a winning record against them. Back to the Mets, losing record. Thank goodness they play the Giants and the Rockies, Frank. Who knows where they'd be right now? It's probably not 3 games above 500 if it wasn't for the American League, the Giants, and the Rockies.
Yeah, and with that, big bicycle kick saved. Switzerland almost scored there. Anyway,
Squirrel.
You really need also to come away with a win here, because a win in this series, because coming back, you have the Braves and Dodgers, then it's the Cubs and Dodgers, and then it's Arizona, which is your only real respite, and Toronto. coming back before the All-Star break.
I wouldn't
So
even consider
it's a
Arizona
rough
that much
schedule.
of a rest either. They're a half game out of a wild card spot.
It is a rough schedule.
Yeah.
into the All-Star break.
This is the point of the season that we talked about 2 months ago. You're going to have to grind through these 2 months. Did we not say that? I mean,
Yeah.
And has this not been a grind through 2 months? I will say this, Frank, and people are going to think I'm, being too positive, but based on the schedule that they've had and the level of play that they have had, this should be a lot worse. Their record should be a lot worse. With how they've played and who they've had to play, it should be a lot worse. And again, once you get to the All-Star break, it starts to ease up a little bit. But coming up, as you mentioned again, Texas, not that great. They're 3 games under 500. They're a game out of a wild card spot. Then you got Atlanta, who's in first place in the National League East, third best team in the National League. Then you got the Dodgers, first place in the National League West, first place in the National League, first place in all of baseball with a .640 win percentage. After that, you got the Chicago Cubs, 39-36, right there with you in a wild card spot. Then you got LA again, first team in the National League. And then after that, I think it's Arizona and Toronto, if I'm not mistaken. Is that what you said?
Arizona, Toronto, yes.
Then you got Arizona as a half game back out of a wild card spot, and Toronto, who again, if the season ended today, despite a losing record of 37-38, they would be in a playoff spot. They won 3 in a row. That's your first half of the season. It would be nice to be around, above 500 if you were. But over and over again, people continue to say like, oh, they're not going to survive this. They're going to get buried. They're not going to make it through. Arizona is still yet to pass the Padres despite all of this. Tells you everything you know about Arizona. The rest of the National League can't pass them in the standings right now. They continue to stay in that last wild card spot. I mean, you guys can say what you want about the negativity. You can do them all you want. You can, and they haven't played well. I will say that they have not played well. But we are almost through this thing now. And they're still right where they were when they started this little trend. I mean, they started this trend 6 games above 500. They can still do that going into July. And it's not going to take a massive amount of wins. They're going to have to win a couple of series here in the next couple of series for them to be able to do that. And I think they're going to be, it's not crazy to say it can happen. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. When we come back, an update on the World Cup. First round of group stage has been completed. Second round is starting right now. Throughout the day, we've already had a game go final. We'll get you updated on everything with the World Cup. Drake Hills will join us at 1:35 to finish up the show. Kind of get you a quick preview of Padres and Rangers again in the next couple of segments. But here in the final hour of the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's number Sports Station 97 through the Fan.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial
Chicago
Group.
Bears may have just made their biggest stadium move yet. The organization announced it is advancing plans for a potential stadium project in Hammond, Indiana, just days after Illinois lawmakers failed to approve legislation that could help support a new stadium deal. But before fans panicked, the Bears haven't officially left Illinois. This looks more like a pressure tactic than a final decision. The reality is, Bears fans are tired of hearing about stadium politics. They have finally have excitement around head coach Ben Johnson, quarterback Caleb Williams, yet the conversation keeps turning to where the team will play. Many fans also worry a new stadium means higher ticket prices, expensive personal seat licenses, and being priced out altogether. Arlington Heights still feels like the most logical long-term solution. Bears already own the land, and most season ticket holders live closer to that site. So is Hammond the future, or is it simply leverage in the latest chapter of NFL's longest-running stadium drama? One thing is certain, though, Bears fans want answers, and they want this story to end. Just when it looked like the Chicago Bears stadium saga couldn't get any more complicated, the franchise dropped another major twist after years of discussions involving Arlington Heights, downtown Chicago, Soldier Field renovations, public funding debates, and political gridlock. The Bears have now officially voted to advance a stadium development project in Hammond, Indiana. Now, before anyone starts printing Indiana Bears merchandise, it's important to understand what this really means. The Bears aren't officially leaving Illinois, but they are sending a very clear message to Illinois lawmakers. If you can't help us get a stadium deal done, we have alternatives.
Yeah, after 6 years of stadium drama, this is what many fans are just simply exhausted. As you said, less than a week after Illinois lawmakers failed to pass legislation that could help support a new stadium project, the Bears announced their board of directors had voted to advance discussions on potential development in Hammond, Indiana. The move immediately created headlines throughout the Midwest. On the surface, it sounded dramatic. The Bears potentially leaving Illinois after more than 100 years. It's a massive story, but the reality is a lot more nuanced, as reality most often is. The organization stressed that the discussions with Illinois lawmakers are still ongoing, while simultaneously highlighting Indiana as a viable option. So in other words, it feels less like a final decision and more like a high stakes negotiation tactic. The Bears are saying effectively, help us build what we want in Indiana, or we have found somewhere else to go.
In Illinois, or we'll go to Indiana. My thing is, and this is obviously hits home here in San Diego because of the fact that we lost an NFL team. And I was at the point of, we got to do whatever it takes to keep the NFL here in San Diego. But I think San Diego is the first of a lot of cities to be like, you want a stadium, build it yourself. And you see that in California. Like, not a single stadium in California is getting built anymore unless it is privately funded. The days of like public funding for stadiums in California are gone. In most parts of the country where taxes are not as high in terms of like, state income tax, if that doesn't exist, or like the way taxes are, people are more inclined to pay a couple additional, dollars per to make sure that they have a brand new stadium in their city and they keep their team. But when you are in states like Illinois, like California, like New York, that have these high state income taxes, people are less inclined to do that. And I think that's why you're in the same position right now as the Chargers were in of, you know what? The city's like, we don't want to build you a stadium. You guys are a multi-billionaire, $1 billion organization that's backed by a super multi-billionaire corporation in the National Football League. They should be able to build and improve upon their own stadiums. I think the days of this, fans catering and taxpayers catering to these NFL franchises are now gone. And I think the Bears are trying to leverage a better situation for themselves, because at the end of the day, they already own land in an area. They could build their own stadium in Arlington Heights and just call it a day. They want it for free. They don't want to spend as much money. And this is where the problem is. And I think using taxpayers as pawns is gross on a lot of different levels. And I hope the people of Chicago basically go like, build your own stadium, because the leverage, again, is on, I think, the taxpayer side. Where are they going to go? Like, they're going to go to Indiana. They're still going to be called the Chicago Bears. I mean, that's where all their marketing is and everything. It's just outside the city of Chicago. I mean, sure, fans have to drive a little bit further if they want to go to a game, but games are so expensive now, Frank, that you're only really going to like one a year anyway. And the ones that do have the money to be able to go to all the games that pay for season tickets, they're going to drive to wherever it is anyway. So to me, I'm on the side of the taxpayers here. Make the Bears build their own stadium.
Yeah. And
124. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking, it's better. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Went to dinner last night to, I can walk to this place now, but like Naughty Barrel does like trivia night on Wednesdays. I did not participate in trivia night. Got there a little late, didn't really want to do it. But we're just there for a drink and dinner. And the one time I don't play trivia, there is the question, like in trivia night, like when you do trivia They have like in the middle of like a round, they do the list one where they give you like, they have like a list you're trying to compile like 8 to 10 things you get like bonus points for. Well, do you know what day it was yesterday? I'm surprised you didn't know what day it was yesterday.
What was it, racing day or something like that?
It was mascot day.
Oh, no.
Yesterday was National or International Mascot Day, and everybody was celebrating it. So yesterday's question for like the bonus one was the guy gave the mascot name. You had to give the Division I school.
Okay.
And the hint was they were all Power 5 schools. And the guy's like listing off all these mascots. I'm like, oh, that's. And I'm like, and I'm not playing. I asked my friend, I was like, can I go tell that group they look like they're. She was like, don't get involved. You're not playing. Nope, we're leaving. Don't get involved. Enough with the mascot. But number one was they had Bucky. So you had to guess the school. So that would obviously be Bucky the Badgers. That's Wisconsin.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then they had the one that I was upset about, but I understand now because of the hint, was Pistol Pete. There's like 3 of those guys. There's like 3 Pistol Petes. Are we talking about Wyoming? Are we talking about Oklahoma State? Are we talking about New Mexico State? But obviously Power 5 school.
Yeah,
it's Oklahoma State. Good thing he gave that clue.
I like how you're saying Power 5.
That's what he said. He's probably ill-informed.
He's not. He's properly informed.
He's not informed. You know what he didn't list? Any mascot from the Pac-12. So I guess he was ill-informed. Next one was Herky. Do you know Herky?
No.
It's a bird. Big Ten bird. Think about what a bird would be named with an H. Herky the...
Oh, why? Oh, Hoosier? No.
Excuse me? Foul.
Well, no, you...
Foul.
He draws
I'm not going to argue taking the foul. You said H.
Yes. There's a bird in the Big Ten.
Why can I
that
not...
starts with an H.
Why can I
Herky
not
the blank.
think of it? Why can I not think of it? Why is my mind going away from me?
They look like the Steelers.
Of all the things I've lost, I miss my mind the most.
See, you know what? When you get put on the spot, it hurts.
It does. It hurts a lot, actually.
Herky the blank.
Why? You see, you keep saying the same thing. It doesn't help.
I told you they look like the Steelers. What is
Oh, my God, Iowa.
Iowa. Herky the Hawkeye. Then they had Sparky.
Oh, you know what? I'm giving myself a second one.
He draws the foul.
You are the Big Ten PR person and you didn't know about the Iowa Hawkeyes.
That hurt.
That does hurt. Okay. The next one was Sparky.
It's the Islanders mascot, Sparky the Dragon.
That's not what we're talking about now, is it? Power 4 school, Sparky.
Brother,
Jocelyn is somewhere freaking out about this.
Brother, I don't know. It's World. I was like
Sparky.
I was focused on the World Cup. This is World
We got
Cup
3 minutes
time.
for that in a second. Sparky.
What conference?
West Coast. Not the West Coast Conference, but I'll give you they're in the West. They're on the West. They're in the West Coast. Sparky. Jocelyn's gonna get mad at you in about 30 seconds.
Sparky sounds really bad for a tree. I would think it's not Stanford.
It's not Stanford. Sparky.
I don't know what the Huskies' name is at Washington.
Herbie Husky.
Okay, Herbie, thank you. So West
No, it's
Coast
Herbie Husker. I lied. It's Harry the Husky, but
okay.
It's still not Sparky.
I flat out do not know.
They used to be in the Power Act 12.
I was thinking on the coast. I know it.
Do you know what it is now?
It's Arizona State.
Arizona State.
I was
Sparky.
thinking on the coast. You said West Coast. I thought of on the I thought of all the big schools on the coast.
Okay. There was one other one. I'm forgetting what it was. I'm gonna see if I can find it online real quick. But it had it had an interesting name. That Sparty is the Michigan State guy. Because somebody was like Sparty, Michigan State. No, there was one other one, and I was trying to remember what the name was. I couldn't hear the guy totally, but I was like, "Oh, that one sounds
vaguely familiar."
Yeah,
I know the mascots. I don't know the name of the mascot.
I think I know which one it was. You're not going to get this, I don't think.
Watch it be the easiest one.
Peruna.
Yeah, you're right.
It's a live mascot.
Peruna the piranha. They're in the Amazon.
No. Peruna. I'll give you a hint. Used to not be Power Conference. They're now in the ACC, but they're nowhere near the Atlantic coast.
They're used
to be non-Power 4.
Used to be non-Power 4, now in the ACC.
Nowhere near the Atlantic coast.
We're near the Atlantic coast.
That's really only one school. They also can't fry eggs anymore because they don't have one of these. And they will never have one of these ever again.
Would it happen to be Southern Methodist?
Yes, it would be SMU, Peruna the Mustang. It's not really a Mustang, Peruna. It's like a pony, if you will. That was the other one that was on there. I'm going to give you an extra one. Ramses.
Gordon.
No.
Not a word association anymore.
I can't see. Here's the thing. Frank's gonna get NCAA 27, and he's gonna only play mascot mashup just to know all these mascot names.
Yeah, exactly.
So he doesn't get fooled again. Ramses. They were here for the Holiday Bowl. They played Oregon in the Holiday Bowl at Petco Park. No.
Oh, I was probably at that one. Who did Oregon play that year? Was it North Carolina? There we go. I caught him while he was drinking. That's a guess.
Ramses is the Tar Heel, if you will. Want any other fun ones?
No. It's World Cup time.
It is World Cup time.
It is World Cup.
And the perfect time to get to the World Cup. We're going to set up Drake here in a second. But get the quick recap of the World Cup and what has happened the last 24 hours.
Yes, really quick here. All right. So Tuesday, we did have a show on Tuesday, but most of these games had not gone final. France, with Kylian Mbappe scoring 2 goals, beats Senegal 3-1. Iraq falls to Norway 4-1. One of those was an own goal. Ayman Hussein, who scored for Iraq, ended up scoring the final goal for Norway as well, on an own goal in the 90th minute. It was a historic day for Lionel Messi, getting not 1, not 2, but 3 in the back of the net.
Goes Nico Gonzalez, Lionel Messi, first career World Cup hat trick, ties the all-time goal-scoring record.
Kylian Mbappe had tied Lionel Messi going into the day for goals in the World Cup. Messi is now, with his 3, as you heard in the call there on Fox Sports, now tied for the most goals in World Cup competition ever at 16. Austria beating Jordan 3-1. That rounded out Tuesday. Yesterday, Portugal and the Congo going to a 1-1 draw. England playing against Croatia. Jude Bellingham just out of the halftime break.
The assumption, the feeling is this is the most difficult of the games. Well, first of all, Bellingham wasn't dealt with by the Croatian defense, and Jude Bellingham running it from a tight angle and dead off the post from one end of the field to the other. Jude Bellingham puts England back in front 90 seconds into the second half.
Once again, courtesy of Fox Soccer, that was a 4-2 victory for England over Croatia. Harry Kane scoring twice, Marcus Rashford getting the final goal. Had to wait a while, Ghana versus Panama, but this is how it ended in the 5th minute of extra time.
Nearly 4 minutes gone in stoppage time. Awful bump. Semenyo knocks it forward. Long run there.
Promises something at free. He's in the box. Asante across. Can't hit a goal. You're in shape.
Ghana takes the 1-0 victory there. And then, as Scan had alluded to earlier, the nightcap, Colombia versus Uzbekistan. Colombia coming away with a 3-1 win. Today, we have our first round of teams playing our second match of the group stage. Czechia and South Africa come away with a 1-1 draw. Switzerland just took the lead a couple of moments ago, right as we started this the World Cup date. They took a 1-0 lead over Bosnia-Herzegovina as it stands right now in the 77th minute, 1-0 to Switzerland. Canada versus Qatar round out Group B play at 3 o'clock, and then Mexico versus South Korea tonight at 6 p.m. That will be on Fox. Canada versus Qatar on FS1.
We're going to have the full breakdown and conversation with Drake Hills when we come back. But as we go to break, be the first caller to call in and answer this trivia question about the Atlanta Braves, and you will win tickets to Padres and Braves and get this nice little hat on Monday. The Braves are quoted to be the, quote, oldest continuously operating professional sports franchise in America. That's what they like to say. But it wasn't always in Atlanta. Where did the Braves start? First one to call in and answer that question correctly will win tickets to Padres and Braves coming up on Monday, June 22nd. First 40,000 fans will receive a free Padres Western snapback hat. Grab tickets at Padres.com/tickets. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Drake Hills joins us next on the Braden Surprenant Show. Settings Number Sports Station 97. The MLB trade deadline is getting closer, and one trend is becoming crystal clear. Prospects are going to drive this market. Teams like the Yankees, Dodgers, Blue Jays, Orioles, and Rays all have elite farm systems and the prospect capital to chase big names. But here's the question. Are teams willing to actually move those prospects? We're hearing names like Spencer Jones from San Diego, Jordan Lawler, Creed Williams, Gage Wood, and Josue De Paula being connected to potential deadline conversations. At the same time, veterans like Casey Mize, Joe Ryan, Sandy Alcantara, Luisa Rise, and Aroldis Chapman could become available if their teams decide to pivot. This year's deadline may not only be defined by one blockbuster trade, it could be defined by which contender is finally willing to sacrifice its future for a chance to win right now. And if history tells us anything, the teams willing to take that risk are often the ones still playing deep into October. With the MLB trade deadline just under 2 months away, front offices across baseball starting to begin to identify what assets they're willing to move and what needs they're hoping to address.
Yeah, every contender is evaluating ways to improve, and every team has at least one player, prospect, or veteran who could become a key piece of the deadline puzzle. As we move towards August 3rd, the biggest stories isn't necessarily who is available, it's how aggressive teams are willing to be going into this deadline. And right now, the trend emerging around baseball is that many contenders may prefer to deal from their farm system rather than move established major league talent.
Yeah, prospect capital could rule this deadline for sure. But let's talk about the Tigers, because they kind of continue to hold all the keys here because they have the number one player that could be available at the trade deadline in Tarek Skubal. And last week, there was a lot of discussion about Tarek Skubal. This week, another Detroit name has entered the spotlight. Former number one overall pick, Casey Mize, putting together the best season of his career, could become one of the most attractive starting pitchers available if the Tigers decide to sell. And for contenders looking for rotation help, Mize offers playoff upside without necessarily requiring a massive prospect package Skubal would command, which means Detroit could potentially control the pitching market with two of the biggest names available. And if they continue to sit near the bottom of the American League Central, which is not a good division, Frank, they could potentially put other names out there as well. Like I've seen Riley Green's name pop up a couple of times.
Yeah, absolutely. And Flaherty's also there in that starting rotation. They just signed Framber Valdez. How willing would they be to move him? So there are a lot of names. Kerry Carpenter, I think, still has a couple years of control left under him. Big power hitter Spencer Torkelson's in the same boat. So it's very interesting to see how much or how committed Detroit could be to a complete and total teardown if things were to get that far.
Yeah, and not every team knows whether they should buy or sell still because of the fact that even though the American League is not very good, a lot of teams are still alive in playoff contention because nobody's really running away from it in terms of the wild card. I mean, Minnesota's Joe Ryan could be one of the most sought after pitchers on the market if the Twins slide out of contention. Houston's Jeremy Pena is another fascinating possibility. Should the Astros continue to struggle in Miami? I mean, Miami's had a great month of June, but Sandy Alcantara remains a name that refuses to disappear from trade rumors. Despite years of speculation, rival executives continue to view him as one of the most valuable arms potentially available. The challenge for these organizations is balancing the future against the possibility that they're only a hot streak away from playoff contention.
Yeah, and there are some surprising names that are being brought up in this trade deadline. One of the most interesting aspects of the year's deadline chatter is the caliber of players that are being discussed. The Nationals have talked about trading CJ Abrams, who is having an all-star level season and still has years of control remaining. Arizona's Jordan Lawler remains one of the best young talented prospects in baseball. The Giants could potentially move three-time batting champion Luis Arraez, who's on a short-term deal. These aren't your typical deadline rentals. They are the types of player who can reshape franchises, making them especially intriguing if negotiations become serious. And I'll tell you what, I'm sure Padre fans will be very happy to get CJ Abrams back. But of those guys, and I know it's hard because you're in the division, Jordan Lawler is probably the biggest name on that list that we just brought up that would perk my ears the most.
Here's what perked my ears. We saw this report earlier this week, but bullpen arms could be premium assets. Every postseason race eventually becomes a race for relief pitching. Veteran closer Aroldis Chapman continues to dominate in Boston and could become one of the most coveted relievers available if the Red Sox decide to sell. Cardinals' Jojo Romero is drawing interest around the league. San Diego's Yuki Matsui has quietly been excellent and could become an attractive option to player if the Padres look to create payroll flexibility. History tells us that bullpen often becomes the most expensive commodity in July, and 2026 appears no different. We're off tomorrow due to the Juneteenth holiday, so hopefully you guys have a fun weekend. This weekend should be a fun one coming up this weekend in Coronado for NASCAR. We got NASCAR in town. We got the Padres playing the Rangers, and of course, not only do we have the U.S. Open, but we got World Cup action going on, and it's been a long time. And our YouTube chatters and our listeners have been clamoring for more Drake Hills. We have not had Drake on in a couple of months. And the biggest time, wow, goal. There you go. Switzerland scored in the meantime of this. And during this time, where Drake's usually on talking about San Diego FC, we have the World Cup to talk about. Let's bring in our man Drake Hills on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking, it's better. Drake, the Swiss have just taken a 2-0 lead on Bosnia-Herzegovina, but happy World Cup action to you out there. Hopefully you enjoyed the first round of group stage.
Yes. Happy match day 2 to everyone at the fan family, and happy Juneteenth Eve to everyone.
Let's talk about the first round of the group stage, if you will. A lot of surprises, a lot of teams that played even, with some of the favorites out there. What was your biggest surprise or takeaway out of the first leg of this group stage?
Yeah, I mean, looking at match day 1, Braden, it was 2 things. Number one, the U.S. men's national team had their strongest start ever in a FIFA World Cup. It's not just about the 4 goals for me. It's the dominance over a team that was involved a little bit more parity when they played Paraguay not too long ago in the build-up to this World Cup tournament. A lot more feisty, that first rendition. Obviously, Alex Freeman, Sebastian Berhalter, some of those guys mixing in with the Paraguay guys. A lot more yellow cards. To bring that forward into how they played at SoFi Stadium last week. I was thoroughly impressed from top to bottom with the Florian Balagans, who I think is definitely the best center forward that the national team for the U.S. has, and he proved himself. Not only that, but if you take a look at the way some of their winger players were playing, I was thoroughly impressed with Anthony Robinson. Obviously, I want to put an asterisk next to Christian Pulisic, and I think we should talk about him separately, Braden, given his health status. And then you get Gio Reyna at the end of the game. Like the stories that have been spewed at him and the questions on how will this dynamic work between Reyna and the U.S., I mean, he definitely had an answer for him. And then I would say on the second part, I'm looking at the top 10 teams in the FIFA rankings, Braden. I'm talking Argentina, Spain, France, England, Portugal, Brazil, Morocco, Holland, Belgium, Germany. Like there's an erratic array of results. Like you go from on one end where Spain can't even score a goal against Cape Verde, and then you go on the other end and Germany is putting up 7 goals again in a World Cup against Curacao. So a lot to talk about for sure, Braden.
Let's talk about the Spain and Cape Verde conversation, because you mentioned before, like a couple of months ago, that with this World Cup in particular, you got a lot of new faces in there and a lot of teams and countries that might be overlooked. You mentioned Cape Verde potentially being one of them. Obviously, San Diego FC has a connection with Cape Verde, but they parked the bus early and often. They just went in a full defensive mode, which is not a bad strategy when you're that big of an underdog, to at least give yourself an opportunity for the next 2 games to try to get yourself out of the group stage.
And you know what? I don't sweat it too much the way that Cape Verde played, because if you take a look at the front line for Spain, obviously Lamine Yamal didn't even start the game. But just looking at some of their stronger players, I thought Fabian had a great game. Just the potency of Spain down there in Atlanta for match day 1. I was actually shocked. That's the word I'm going to use for that game, because it's not like parking the bus for Cape Verde was working. Spain were getting chances. They just didn't convert, which if you tie that into another top tier team, maybe not as much of a favorite for the World Cup, but Portugal. I watched both of these games live, and Portugal had a lot more difficult of a responsibility to uphold DR Congo. For those who are listening, DR Congo, if they weren't following the qualification and the playoff tournaments to get into the World Cup, DR Congo knocked out Jamaica. They knocked out, in my opinion, the CONCACAF team that should have made their way through the playoff to get to this World Cup. And people are thinking, DR Congo, they don't have much talent. They've got Axel Twansby, who's probably one of the more veteran defenders in British football, came out of the Manchester United Academy, played for Manchester United for a little while. And then you've got Aaron Wan-Bissaka, another Manchester United alumnus. DR Congo has talent, and I think that Portugal had a few moments when they weren't able to stop them, and so that's how you see the 1-1 draw between Portugal and DR Congo. So a ton of surprising moments. I think the best performance out of the top 10 is without a doubt England. That was, in my opinion, Braden, the best game of the World Cup so far.
Let's talk about there's a lot of different ways I want to go with this, but we don't have too much time. Yesterday, how was Ghana able to get that one chance in extra time to knock off Panama? And that game, they gave Panama a lot of extra time there after that goal went through for Ghana. But that's a big win for Ghana, obviously, and they got it in the final minutes of extra time.
Yeah, you want to talk about absorbing pressure and parking the bus. I mean, goodness gracious. Obviously, San Diego is probably going to be feeling it. That's Panama. The most capped player for Panama in its history is Anibal Godoy, who, of course, is the captain for San Diego FC. Didn't start in the game, but, is very much a part of that team. And I know San Diego FC is probably feeling a little bit stretched because, obviously, you have Willie Kamado and some of the other guys, Emma Boateng, Manu, Dua. There's a Ghanaian representation and a Panamanian representation for both sides. I think if you look at the stats of this one, Panama should have won this game at least 2-0. You had 4 shots on goal. You had 2/3 of the ball. You were, pinging it around, zip passing. I just think that that's going to hurt Panama in the end, especially when we think about the group, right? Ghana, Panama, they need to get a win against each other because you're otherwise looking to get wins against England or Croatia, which quite frankly is not going to happen.
Let's talk about Team USA. This was the best that they've looked in a very long time. They look really good offensively. And as mentioned, there's been some conflicting reports on just how good defensively Paraguay was. But it's still an impressive win nonetheless for Team USA. They got Australia coming up, this week, obviously, for their second match. How do you break down how Team USA did, and what do they have to do against Australia to make you fully believe what you saw in match 1?
Well, I think that as a team, the U.S. need to respond in an aggressive way when they don't have the ball. What I mean by that is they need to absolutely pounce on Australia in the midfield, tackles, fouls, disrupting play, absolutely declining any opportunity or attempt to break lines with passing and how Australia likes to play the game. Anything in behind the defense, I think it's going to be important for a Miles Robinson or a Chris Richards or whoever's going to be in the back playing with Tim Ream to disrupt aerially, to make sure they're getting heads on lobs over the top to disrupt that play. I think that's super important because I think, the Tim Weahs, and again, I think we still need to talk about Christian Pulisic, but the attack is going to take care of itself. But Australia, this is a team that is a lot more confident, and I think so is the U.S., since the last time these two teams played in October up there in Denver. You're talking about an Australia team that many people counted them out against Turkey in that first match of the World Cup. They've got a 2-goal win in that one, and so I think their confidence is a lot different than when these two teams played against each other in October. But I would also say on the U.S. side, this is a team that's a lot more together, that's a lot more sure of themselves, at least necessarily, or at least at the bare minimum, to play and compete at a World Cup. I do think that some of these guys, like a Florian Balogun, are a lot more confident and assured of themselves in front of goal. So it's going to be an exciting game.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to talking to you again next week, hopefully, to talk about all of match 2 before we start getting to the third match for everybody. But fun group stage so far, Drake. The World Cup's been a fun one to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hope that Christian Pulisic and this left calf gets situated by tomorrow. And I'm excited. I'm excited for the World Cup. 48 teams. It's a lot of games, 4 games a day almost. I hope you guys are enjoying it there at the station.
We absolutely are. Drake, have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
All right. Until then, take care. Happy Juneteenth, everyone.
Drake Hills joining us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking. It's better. Since we put Drake on, there's been 3 goals scored in the Swiss-Bosnia-Herzegovina game.
Switzerland now up 3-1. We started the interview at 1-0. It's 3-1 now.
3-1. Pretty impressive stuff. For Frank Marchese, I'm Braden Surprenant. Thanks again for tuning in to the broadcast today. When we come back next week, we'll have a lot to break down from the Padres and the Rangers. Get you ready for Padres and Braves. We'll recap the NASCAR weekend. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll talk to you guys on Monday. Go ahead, Chris. Coming up next, setting us over Sports Station 97 to the Fan.